how do we make sure that whilst when migration's in place, we look after them? What about the customers who need to move, and how do you engage them, and how do you actually make sure that they do move before any deadline? So at the minute, we're talking about the responsibility of the CP. So the CP, needs to reach out and tell them and tell carers and all that kind of thing. And obviously, from our perspective, we need to be telling CPs. But also, as you get close to the end, just really laying out this will happen. If you haven't moved, you will
lose service.
You will lose. Well, you will lose service. But and that's another. I keep thinking back to the last time we talked, and we talked about what happens at the end. And at the time, I didn't really have answers I could share.
Right.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to another Telecoms.com podcast. We're recording this one on a Wednesday. It's going to be first of two this week. Not by design, but it will make up for the fact that we're doing none the week after because of afterm. I said that in a shit French accent. Because it's only the only person it matters for really is Pierre.
Yeah. Well, it affects me, but not so much. Not from going away.
And maybe it affects our returning guest, which is Juliet Scott from Openreach. Welcome back, Juliet.
Thank you very much.
Great
Lovely to be here again. Thank you.
I was, my wife was asking me who I was meeting, and I said, I'm meeting someone who's apparently a smoggy. That was what I learnt.
Fantastic.
That's what I learnt from you in the last pod.
You did.
A smoggy?
Which means she's from Middlesbrough.
Oh, I didn't know that.
As opposed to Mackham from Sunderland and Geordie from Newcastle. In fact, I remember calling Juliet a Geordie on last pod, and she gave me a really good death stare.
I think I probably kicked you as well.
So I've learnt.
Good.
So welcome back, Julia. And you've come at an opportune time for many different reasons. I know your main area is to do with this. Oh God, I'm going to screw it up again.
PSTN.
PSTN. I always want to say PTSD. PSTN, and remind us, I mean, I should know, obviously.
Public Switch Telephone Network.
There we are.
It's basically lots of big things, big switches and exchanges that mean that if you plug the phone into your master socket at home, you'll get a dial tone and it'll ring.
Yeah. So it's the exchanges. Why can't you just call them exchanges? Save me all this heartache.
So it's not the exchange.
Oh,
it's a bit of equipment in it, but it's big and it takes up 1% of the UK's power network.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously Openreach is part of BT, or they're a very distant part, we hasten to add, and is in charge of the whole wholesale side of things, and is in charge of this network as a former state monopoly as it was back in the day. So it's your problem to sort of deal with moving on from old sort of technological paradigms to new ones and that sort of thing.
So BT Group own the equipment they own the switches, and they have said that they are going to withdraw PSTN.
Right.
I've got to be really careful now.
Yeah.
In January 2027, we have products over the top of that, including WLR, which is wholesale line rental, and essentially what a lot of people on in their homes, and therefore we will be withdrawing our product as well. Which also links, and if you remember last time we talked a bit about my job, and that means that we can then shut exchanges because a lot of the stuff in the exchanges have gone.
Cool. Well, we'll obviously do a deeper dive into that, because I know one of the things you want to talk about is the state of play in that whole process.
Yeah, brilliant.
So welcome back. We've got, in terms of opening bollocks, I haven't been up to much, but you went off on quite a interesting sounding little field trip.
You've already failed on your little challenge, haven't you?
Well, no, we haven't covered that challenge. Don't worry. We'll start the timer.
Okay. All right.
We'll come back to that.
So it doesn't apply until the timer kicks in.
No, I haven't told you.
It's always called opening bollocks. I can't censor that.
Okay.
Anyway, carry on. What fucking bollocks have you been up to here?
Bollocks is a soft
Great.
All right. Well, I'll let the cat. We'll let the cat out of the bag now. Well, before we go any further, given we're alluding to something, tell our audience, Juliet, what we were just chatting about before we started recording.
So, whilst I'm a northeastern woman and I'm fully into being real,
Colourful
being honest,
language.
colourful language, I was just asking if for the podcast we could try our best to see how little swearing we could do, because then I'll be great.
And why is that? Because it's not some puritanical instinct on your part.
I mean, in the pub after, I'm really happy to have a good swear and a good drink.
It's banned within Openreach.
But I'm very professional, right? And it'd be really good to use some of this stuff, hopefully, for our website.
So that's what it is.
Yeah.
You'd like to be able to recirculate some of it, but if I'm effing and blinding all over the place, although he's worse than I am.
Well, I'm gonna be.
I'm not
tally charting here.
I hardly use any.
So I think I can't promise you 2 hours of that.
No.
I think that's beyond me. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to try extra hard when we're talking about the PSTN.
Well done, yeah. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to write it there.
Nailed it.
Keep looking at it.
Yeah, PSTN. When we're talking about that, which I suspect is the stuff you're going to be most keen to share, that's when I promise I'll try my best.
Thank you.
And we'll let everyone in the room judge me. And the same goes for you, Ian. You're not much better than I am. So I think we're all right for now.
Right.
Swear away. Get out your system. Try not to use the very naughty word you used last week, because Pierre's going to have to bleep it again.
Yeah.
Although it's quite funny that you put it in the trailer, Pierre.
Oh, everybody knows it was how bad it was.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll never know.
Well, they do, because immediately afterwards, someone says we're not supposed to say that word.
Yeah, I mean, it's arbitrary.
Could be anything.
It's arbitrary. It's just always been my instinct.
You
know, we're used to, like, when we first started doing this, we were a bit more careful. But as you know, especially from having been in the pub with me after, I'm a naturally very sweary person. Yeah. And then as we just got more relaxed, we just sort of started being ourselves a bit more.
It's nice to be ourselves.
But that is one. There are certain ones where you sort of think maybe.
Yeah, there's a line.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sort of Overton window of swearing, isn't there?
Yeah.
No one really knows where it is. But anyway, I'll stop labouring that point.
What I was doing on my
what did you get
fucking
up to,
opening bollocks weekend. I went to Milan.
Cool.
For a day.
Is that to buy some fashionable clothes?
As you can see.
Yeah.
I went to watch the Winter Olympics, courtesy of HPE, who were doing some of the connectivity for providing a lot of the routers and switches.
They're good trips, aren't they, HPE?
They're trying to get into. They're kind of very big at the moment on using sports, I think, to promote their technology.
Clearly. So we went to New York for the Ryder Cup, which was an HPE thing.
Yeah.
And
so it's quite interesting.
Your second Ryder Cup in a row with HPE, isn't it?
The one in New York was, but this one's quite interesting because whereas New York was all... So HPE's recently acquired Juniper 6 months ago, whatever. Yep. And when they obviously got the Ryder Cup contract, it was before that they knew that they were going to be... Okay. That was held up in a sort of antitrust process
for a while. Yeah.
So all the tech at the Ryder Cup was all HPE technology. It was all Aruba, Wi-Fi access points. There was some Green Lakes, like their cloud computing platform, but everything. There was no Juniper at all at that event. If you remember in the press conference, same guy, by the way, James Robertson, who led the whole thing over in New York, was in Milan this weekend.
Oh, the sort of Mid-Atlantic guy,
the CTO guy who's in charge of events. This completely flipped it. So everything here was Juniper. It's like the other way around.
I see. So they got to really showcase all that jazz.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is they've got things that don't overlap at all. Like before the merger, HP would have been mainly known for servers. It's like 50% of its revenues.
Right.
And Juniper would have been known for doing like IP routers and switches. Like those are the things that they're kind of like known for. But they've got these overlapping areas, which is very much in this kind of networking, Wi-Fi.
Part of that was the Aruba acquisition.
So it's So on the HP side, it's Aruba Central, and on the Juniper side, it's this product called Mist. And they play up AI's involvement in this a lot. Like you can use AI to do network management and
as one does these days.
But it was quite interesting seeing it from the Juniper perspective. And the person I didn't expect to show up in the press conference and answer all sorts of questions.
Eddie the Eagle.
No, it wasn't Eddie the Eagle. It was the former CEO of Juniper, who's now head of HP networking, Ramit Rahim. So to have someone that senior was
cool.
And he was like there mingling with the journalists and answering questions.
I thought maybe you were going to say Phil Mottram.
No, so Phil left. I think Phil's left. Hasn't he?
Oh yeah,
I think he's left.
Shit, where's he gone?
I might have gone that.
No, I think you are. Oh, well, did he get promoted?
I don't
have to look him up on LinkedIn.
Maybe okay. Apologies if he's not left, but
we'll correct the record now.
So Rami Rahim was there, and obviously they're talking about. There's a lot of questions about overlap between those portfolios, how they bring them together. Next time I said to him, if you did this now, knowing that you've got HPE, would you do it any differently? And their story is that his basic answer was no, but. You kind of want. They're trying to basically take the best bits from each portfolio, I think, in the future and interlock them, because it wouldn't make sense to have these two separate things, would it? I mean, they've got the quite aggressive cost-saving targets as well. They're sort of looking to.
As is so often the way with M&A.
Well, they've raised it. I think they were looking to save about 450 million over a 3-year period, and now it's gone up to 600 million. And the reason for that. Well, the reason for that was just sort of, I think you get more access to the books, don't you, after the merger's gone through, and you can sort of figure out more of what you can do. But I looked at their staff numbers, and they've already come down by about 7% compared with a year ago. If you look at the combined companies.
By the way, Phil is still there.
He is still there.
He got promoted last November to Chief Sales Officer.
Oh, okay, all right.
So he was GM of HPE Aruba Networking when we had him on the pod.
Yeah.
And then since then, he's Chief Sales. So he's the number one commercial dude at HPE by the looks of it.
Yeah. Obviously the situation's completely different doing, mainly Wi-Fi access points for a golf event compared with covering an area that's 22,000 square kilometres, I think it was, the Winter Olympics.
Oh, they're just covering the full Monty.
Well, you've got skiing, haven't you, and stuff. So it takes place.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because you told me you were going to see speed skating. Yeah, and I thought maybe it was just that complex, but you're saying it's their.
No, I'm saying what their technology
the whole
had
of the Winter Olympics.
Oh yeah,
it's
not
problem.
just the speed skating. They would.
Right.
So they had like I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head.
Can they help us win a few more medals? I think we've won fuck all so far.
Winter sports is not a British thing, is it? Really?
We're not talking about your stuff yet.
It's outside curling, I think.
Yeah, came fourth in that.
Yeah,
can't even get a bronze. Anyway, carry on.
So they have like thousands of access points, but also a lot of like IP routers and switches, sort of interconnecting all the fibre that gets deployed by local Italian service provider equivalents of BT, basically. And yeah, it was interesting. And then we went and saw the speed skating, as you say. So that was kind of the jolly part. It was.
I saw
really
a bit of it. I like the way they put their hands behind their back. They're trying to look all casual.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I've never seen it before, and I'll probably never see it again. But it was quite good fun to watch live. I mean, you get a sense
something
of
different, isn't it?
I think any sport that's done to a high level is quite good. I mean, maybe curling.
I know, and you wonder what are the incremental changes between the winner and the second.
Curling and darts would maybe be lower on my list for. I mean, darts.
They're going like 40 miles an hour.
Up to 40 miles an hour. Yeah. So they do. It was men's 5,000 meters, and they do it in 6 minutes.
I also watched when I was watching that, and I was looking for you in the audience. I didn't see you.
Oh, okay. Because the audience is reasonably small. It's not like there's a huge seating area, and you go back several rows. But
yeah,
I mean, you didn't really look for him, did you? In there,
well,
he knew I was there.
Fleeting. I was too distracted by someone going round and round in exactly the same way a million times.
There was a massive number of people over there, by the way.
I could see it was full.
How many journalists were there?
And at the same time, I watched a bit of biathlon, which impresses me. It was women's biathlon, and you got these women who's skiing uphill, and then at the end of it, stopping and hitting bullseyes with guns. You just think, fair play to them.
Wow. Have you ever seen the speed skating at, I think it was Salt Lake City in 2002? The Aussie guy, Stephen Bradbury. Never heard of him?
No.
He was basically, I think he might have done it 3 times in a row. He definitely did the semis and final like that, where he stayed behind. He knew, like, I'm not going to beat these guys. And they all fell in front of him at the last turn.
Oh, right.
And he went, made it to the final, and that happened again, and he won gold.
Just by everyone else wiping out. He's not even that good.
He just, like, kept with them like at the back of the pack, and they all fell in front of him, and just like, oh my god, I won.
That'd be my.
Also, the fact that he's Australian, not Canadian or Finnish, whatever.
That was the thing. Amazing. I don't know if this came up. I can't remember what conversation. They all blend into one for me. But someone was asking me at Winter Olympics, and I've got to admit, I quite like it when people wipe out. There's something about
the ski.
I didn't like it when Lindsay Vonn wiped out.
No, she really hurt herself badly.
It's cringe. Yeah.
No, I mean, what you want is for them to get wiped out, and then it'd be like the A-team, and they just get up and go, oh, their helicopter's just flown into a cliff.
When you see the leg bend the wrong way, it's like,
I'm just quite glad you haven't covered the bit about the jumping. In the news this
week. I did cover it. I put it into my story.
Yes,
I had to get a reference to it.
Yeah, okay.
Was there a scandal?
I think I missed that. Oh, you're not talking about the stuff.
Injecting stuff into their penises to make them bigger.
We spoke about that last week.
I think we did.
Oh,
people are going to think we're obsessed.
Shut up about it.
People are going to think we're obsessed with penis size.
What, you're the one who keeps bringing it up.
Wait,
I was there. I was witnessing it.
What happened?
There's something to do with aerodynamics, and there was a silly
basically there was a scandal whereby ski jumpers were using it's actually used.
I think this has been refuted, by the way.
But you would inject it into your penis, and it temporarily makes it bigger. Why would you do something like that for ski jumping?
As opposed to for other reasons.
Because when they fit you for the suit, it makes it slightly bigger over the middle section, and that tiny percentage difference actually is important in terms of carrying you further, because it's all about wingspan, isn't it? And
wow,
and
there's a temporary enlargement, yeah.
Do you need like a longer?
Apparently, from what I read.
But yeah, as you say, I think a lot of the skiers have come out and said, well, but it was in the BBC and a number of other publications
Well, if
that
it was
are
in the BBC, it
quite
must
well
be true.
known. No, I didn't say it's true. I was just saying that it was in high-profile publications. But then the ski jumpers came out and said, this is all rubbish. I don't know anybody that does that.
It
But
does.
I think it was being investigated at one
It does.
stage. So.
I mean, but whether or not that's true, it does point to the thing you were alluding earlier when you watch high performance sport, especially sport that you'd only be aware of once every 4 years, because no one gives a shit about this stuff the rest of the time, do they? And you think, when everyone's excellent, it can just be the tiniest little increment that gets you ahead.
I don't see what's wrong with that. Injecting your penis.
That's like,
I mean, if it's not an illegal substance.
doping.
Julian, I'm
It's
trying to
doping.
change the subject. He keeps bringing it back. Looks obsessed.
I'm just.
But
I'm
if
just,
it's
Just go off and do it, mate.
I'm
But
just
it's not-
concerned now that this is going to be the most interesting bit of the podcast.
If it's
Mine
not
will
an
be really
illegal
boring
This is a bit
now.
you're definitely not sharing on your corporate socials.
No,
I've not used swear words.
No, you haven't.
that's true.
I kind of wish you had. Anyway, let's move on from that, if that's all right, Ian. If you've got that out of your system, at least for 1 week.
Sorry, I did actually bring it up, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Sorry, Ian. It's both of your faults.
Yeah.
You're both very naughty.
Sorry, Scott.
Anyway, that sounds cool. I mean, the Olympics is funny, isn't it? That,
But you go back
especially,
onto that.
but not the knob stuff. That once every 4 years, you've suddenly got people just throwing themselves down hills on ice and trying to do it a bit quicker than everyone else. And it's just so novel. And then you forget about it for 4 years and then do it again.
Well, a lot of Summer Olympics sports are like that as well. You find yourself watching these things that you never other watch any other time, like
But I think-
rowing and
For me, I mean, I guess because I don't live in the Alps or whatever, it's even more obscure, the Winter Olympics. Okay, cool. Before we go any further, I'm delighted to announce that this podcast has a sponsor. Unperturbed by our unorthodox style, Cohere Technologies has decided to take the plunge. For any listeners that missed our previous pods with its CEO, Cohere is the innovator behind Universal Spectrum Multiplier software for 4G and 5G, and Pulsone technology for 5G and 6G coexistence, ISAC and NTN. Thanks a lot, Cohere. Your support is much appreciated. Cool. All right. That's enough opening box. I'm thinking, Julia, we should try and cover your main thing first, because I'm most likely to not swear before I've had a few beers.
Okay.
So that makes sense to do it in that order. I mean, we've got some nosiness we want to ask you about, sort of broader Openreach stuff, but I think I might save that.
Okay.
So I've got a couple of stories of ours to refer to. So the clock's ticking now. Pierre, what time is it? It's 14:34. We're seeing how long I can go.
14:34.
We're seeing how long. Well, that's
synchronise your watches.
I've got a 24-hour clock on my thing.
We should all have a little wager on
We're
this.
seeing how long. Yeah, all three of us can go without saying
No, we
rude
should all
words.
wager how long you can go.
Just me. You two can swear all you want. That would be torture. Taunting me with your
I
swearing.
think it should only be you that's not allowed to swear.
Anyway, I'll set my little personal challenge. Let's see how we go. So we wrote a story 2 days ago that says Openreach pushes financial incentive to get customers off copper, which I assumed when I was reading it definitely overlapped with your day job. And then and when you were on the pod, when was it that you were on the pod before?
June last year.
June last year.
Yeah.
So what's that? About 8 months or so. We were talking about this sort of thing, and then not too long after that, Ian wrote a piece called "Inside BT Openreach's Epic Struggle to Quit Thousands of Exchanges."
And can I just say, did I not say that we are not BT Openreach? We are Openreach. So that is I'm sure I'd covered that as
How
a big
could
gripe
you?
last year. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
do you know why I did that?
Why did you do it? To annoy me?
No, it wasn't to annoy you. It's because outside the UK, where we've got a lot of readers,
Yeah.
people would recognise BT, but they probably wouldn't be familiar with Openreach. So it's a way. It wasn't like to sort of, because I know their link doesn't like to be made by Openreach. The brand's just separate, but it's more a way of like this is the UK's big like telco, a part of it.
Okay.
And this is why you should. Sort of
We should
read the
mention we
story.
just got a little prompt from the background. We got Jono from Openreach in the background.
BT's Openreach is fine.
Okay.
So he's saying possessive is fine, but
would
the
be an easy
outright
change to make
join
at the time,
brand,
but-
not so much.
Now it's in because it's been out for.
Yeah, but except that you already used a possessive, so it would have been BT's Openreaches. That would have been awkward.
Right. Yeah, it would. You're right.
Anyway, well, the damage is done now, isn't it, Juliet?
Yeah, I'm
Anyway, but you've forgiven him enough to come back on the pod for which we're grateful.
8 months later.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you just got over
It's
it.
just got over it. Yeah.
So why don't you just remind us a quick recap of what we spoke about 8 months ago, and then how things have progressed since then.
So essentially, as we talked about earlier, and I've written it down for you and for me because
Right.
when you get nervous, and I'm very nervous, obviously.
You don't seem it.
No, the PSTN is owned by BT, and Openreach, we own the product that goes over the top called WLR, which is essentially what we call copper, but there are other variants of copper, but that is the biggest one. We've currently got 2.7 million customers remaining on WLR. We started off over 16 million in 2018.
So it's down from, I think last August it was 4 million, wasn't it? So it has gone down quite a lot.
It is definitely going down. We're seeing around 42,000 a week come off it.
So has the rate gone up over the last sort of...
It's pretty steady. I think we would have liked it to go faster. I think what we see though is that as you get to the end, you have less engaged customers. So your end customers get harder to move. You get more complex customers. You get businesses, C&I. So it naturally will slow down. I think, there's the easy, maybe the low-hanging fruit was kind of already gone.
Yeah.
You've obviously got the CPs as well. So we've got over 350 CPs, communication providers who buy this from us. And, we have some of them that aren't very engaged, not really moving. So you kind of get left with them, and the ones who've gone super early have done it and have gone. So,
When someone goes, what do they go to?
So we've got all IP. So we've got FTTP, fibre to the premise, and we've got SGEA, single order GEA, generic Ethernet access.
You've just got far too many acronyms. in your
It's
job.
horrendous. Yeah. And essentially, SGEA is like an FTTC for those who know, but you don't have the copper broadband, you don't have the copper line underneath. So essentially, it's part fibre, part copper, but the copper is just from the house to the cabinet, and the back bit is just fibre.
Yeah. So is that what we
essentially
used to call
it's fast
FTTC?
broadband. Yes.
Yeah.
But the difference is FTTC has to be over a copper line.
Right.
So GEA doesn't.
I see.
So, and that's why we're moving
got
away
the
as a
optionality.
business from phone services.
Not sure Jono's convinced.
That's fine.
We're moving away from selling phone service, selling broadband, and essentially that's what
Yes,
we're doing. So you can move to those products. We also do have some others. We have SOTAP, which is a transitional product, and essentially where we don't have FTTP or CGEA available to a customer, they can buy SOTAP, which is a broadband solution, but it tends to be slower.
so in like everyday language,
Yeah.
because I did speak to James Lilly,
Yeah.
who's at Openreach as well, about this. But yeah. Okay. I think his word himself is like a PSTN emulation product to kind of span that gap where where Openreach has rolled out fibre.
Yeah.
Is fine, but there's that kind of delta where you've got copper and fibre's not available.
So that's another product, and that is SOTAP for analog.
SOTAP for analog.
So we've got SOTAP, which is just for broadband.
Yeah.
And then you've got SOTAP for analog. Now, SOTAP for analog is not an end customer product, but essentially it is consumed by a CP, and they turn it. So we've got one CP that takes that and they put extra bits in the exchange, and they're selling it as another product and that's BT Wholesale by PDPL, which is pre-digital phone line, which has got an end life of 2030.
Right.
So it's basically a way of saying if you cannot move off WLR for whatever reason,
this is what you go
then
on
this
to.
is a temporary product.
So SOTAP's addresses the problem of areas that haven't been covered by fibre at the moment, basically.
So that gives you broadband.
Yeah,
and then the other
and then
product
it
gives
gives
you
you-
just a telephone with no broadband.
Which I find it bizarre that some people still have a telephone line and not
know.
broadband.
Me too.
It's like 3 people in the whole country, yeah?
Me too. However, we do have things like telecare services,
Right.
so they do sometimes need the telephone service.
Okay.
So
And that was the original reason for the extension, wasn't it, of the deadline for switching off the PSTN was to do with health telehealth.
So it was to do with a specific incident that's just been concluded by Ofcom. Ofcom have just done a 23.8 million fine for a company, and it was to do with vulnerable customers and making sure that telecare customers were safe. So yeah, it gave extra time to make sure that we all stood back, or all the CPs stood back, and really had a look at the right processes. So that was a 13-month delay.
Okay. So the fibre rollout, and just to sort of connect this with the fibre rollout, we can go back to that later, but which has gone very well, it seems, and advanced pretty quickly. I don't know what the coverage is at the moment. You told me before we came in. 21.6. So I guess as that goes up and up and up, the SOTAP and SOTAP for analog, those products become less necessary anyway, because then people have a fibre option in the area.
So
Is
it's
that
interesting.
the right way to
So I
think
think
about it?
SOTAP definitely becomes less of a less needed. That's to kind of fill the gap. But SOTAP for analog, which is kind of the overlay service,
Right, yeah.
that's really for customers who can't move for whatever reason to an all IP solution. So even if they could get FTTP, they can still get this other emulation service, because they might not be able to, say, for example, a telecare device might not be ready for working over broadband or working over 4G, sorry.
Right.
So they might need that until that's ready. So it's a temporary product, say, by BT Wholesale. I'm certainly not here to sell their services, but that is a product that exists. And whilst they're selling it to other CPs. So some of the big CPs are also selling that as well as another product, and certainly moving their customers across to it. So it is a useful product when you're really stuck. What I would definitely say to any CPs listening, it should not be in your plans. You should be,
because eventually it's going to go
in your plan. Sorry, PDPL. That is a temporary product. It shouldn't be a long-term plan.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
PDPL. This is the new
pre-digital phone line that BT are offering. But as they're selling, other CPs are also selling it via BT Wholesale. But as I say, it's really a product for, if you can't get on all IP, it's here. But do everything you can to get all IP.
Okay, and so that's, I mean, those products obviously take into account areas where they just can't get it. But is the other problem? Well, I guess this is the other problem: is people have the option of being on all IP products, but they're still just using the PSTN and not budging, basically.
So we've got, I think we've just kind of covered it in a recent article, but 21.6 million FTTP premises available. We have a take up of 8.2 million of those taking it up. So we're on a 38% take up. So you've obviously got
quite high, isn't it? Industry
leading. And
it's not as high as you'd like it to be, obviously.
It would be great to get a lot higher. Obviously, in some areas there's competition. In some areas, customers just haven't moved. And it's a really, as we talk with all these acronyms, it's kind of, if you're in the industry, you probably know. But if you're a normal person, not like us, how do you know?
Speak for yourself, Juliet.
I was. So how do you know that?
Was that northeastern us meaning me?
How do you know that actually your line is affected? And I think that's really hard. Bearing in mind we're down from, as you say, last year over 4 million. We're now at 2.7. How do I know if I'm in one of them 2.7? I think it's quite difficult for end customers to say, is it me?
Yeah. So is it people like, you might have someone, for instance, who's on an old, like an old sort of ADSL product, and they've just stuck on it and refused to kind of move.
But also their CP might not have asked them to move. They might have told them. So I said, we've got so many CPs involved that you've got a lot of small CPs, and even the CPs we've got, some of them are so big, but they resell to other. So actually, it's whether that CP is outward reaching to their end customer and telling them, or was it the end customer who's just not moving?
Right.
And that brings me on to something that I haven't kind of pre-talked to you about, but actually we're working with the government and with industry and with Ofcom on, there's already some charters in place about how you migrate. Once you migrate to look after these really, really vulnerable telecare customers, now we're working with them and talking to them about how do we make sure that whilst when migration's in place, we look after them. What about the customers who need to move, and how do you engage them, and how do you actually make sure that they do move before any deadline? So at the minute we're talking about the responsibility of the CP. So the CP needs to reach out and tell them and tell carers and all that kind of thing. And obviously from our perspective, we need to be telling CPs. but also, as you get close to the end, just really laying out this will happen if you haven't moved, you will
Lose service.
you will lose. Well, you will lose service, and that's another. I keep thinking back to the last time we talked, and we talked about what happens at the end. And at the time, I didn't really have answers I could share.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I
Now
have
you
some
do.
answers.
So-
Yeah.
When is the end?
Ask me the question.
Yeah. Well, first, when is the end?
So the end is 31st of January 2027.
Okay. And what happens then, Julia?
Thanks, Scott. I'm really glad you've asked me that question. So there's a few different options. So it depends what product you've got. So if you've got things like ISDN2, ISDN30, so you're talking businesses, you're talking call centres, you've got multi-line, you've got anything that isn't a normal single line PSTN line, WR line, then you are likely to be ceased.
Right.
Right, we don't have a technological answer to once the PSTN's gone.
I'm amazed
giving you
that
an
people have
option.
still got ISDN lines that they're using. But
I was also going to say, I remember
that's
my
Yes.
wife's completely addicted to the American version of The Office.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And that was filmed however long ago, quite a long time ago. And in that, they have those old, do you remember those Cisco IP phones that were ubiquitous for a while?
They have lots of buttons on them.
Yeah, they have lots of buttons
It's a
on.
regular
Yeah, but
office
but
phone.
Unify Comms, though.
But they came along as an IP phone, and for a little while it seemed like a big deal. But somehow Cisco managed to corner that market for a little bit. That went down quickly, didn't it?
Oh,
Ian's enjoying his
Yes,
whiskey.
isn't it?
A
That?
lot of interferences now. Someone's.
Well, my phone's all the way over here.
Was it the whiskey that caused the interference?
Is that your laptop? Can you? What if you
What's
close your
to
laptop?
do with it? But I always have my laptop open.
I
It's
know.
never a problem.
Maybe it's your laptop. Don't know if that's gonna.
It's your laptop, yeah.
Maybe
you're,
it's,
the, you're the
Are you
problem.
sure it's not Juliet's Cherry Tango?
No,
Oh
Do you want a drink?
no, I'm fine, thank you.
no, it's not. It's not. I don't know. There's some.
All right.
been
What
listened
if
to
I move my
this advice.
laptop away? Does it
No,
change
no.
anything?
There's a weird thing today. I think there's someone listening.
I think it was just getting
Something-
so. I think
yeah.
it was getting so exciting.
I
Yeah.
think it's.
So that disrupted the flow of the
Yeah.
conversation about ISDN.
I was just my little
So-
tangent
so-
was that my point is that IP telephony's been around for a long time.
yeah.
That's the reason you were thinking, where are you going with that, Scott?
I was. Was.
And then that was to augment Ian's point about how it's surprising, given that IP telephony's been around for decades, that we've still got this long tail.
I think what we find is that people that have got ISDN 30s, for example, is that there's a lot of kit, and it's time and money to change the kit.
Yeah.
Or that's certainly some of the perception, and certainly if you are going to, you've got to rip it out, you've got to move cables potentially. And I mean, I think it would be, without it, you've got a more slick. Nowadays, you don't need all the bulky stuff, but
Yeah.
I think it does. It's cost and it's thinking. Like, if it works, why change it right now? So I think
Yeah,
there's a little bit of certainly people pushing it back.
I'm sort of, this is my own interpretation, but it's probably businesses they don't have the most proactive IT and comms sort of departments that have put this in years ago, and it's just like, well, if it works, then what's the problem? And we're only paying so much.
Essentially, because we've got options. There's definitely options to move to.
So they're likely to lose service, but there's another group of customers.
Yeah,
that
so that kind of 98% of the customers are on single line PSTN, which is the one that I'll talk about in a minute. The 2% is kind of customers that we probably can't. We don't have an emergency service for it, so it will go.
Right.
And we're writing to them, we're telling them, we're making sure that they know. And
Do we have an idea of the numbers of people this will affect?
if you can do some quick maths, it's 2% of 2.7 million.
Scott's good at doing maths on the spot.
I know, I made a fool of myself. So 1% of
Double it.
2.7 million is divided by 100, which is, 27,000. So we're talking 54,000. Is that right? Does that sound like I got that maths right? Anyway,
2 point what?
I'm sticking with it.
2.3.
2.7 million, 2% of 2.7 million. So, I think it is. Something like that, yeah.
Go me.
Yeah. My daughter's at Cambridge doing maths, and I can't work that out.
Your daughter's at Cambridge doing maths. That's very
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah.
Blimey.
It's correct.
She must
yeah.
be highly
It's
intelligent.
correct. You got it right.
Go on. What's your daughter's name?
Ella.
Bet you couldn't do that, Ella.
You probably couldn't, but if you give a really long...
But she'll do some
Yeah, she's
weird
something
equation.
so abstract that it would make my brain explode.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that's the 54,000 then ish. And then there's essentially there is a 2.7 minus 54,000.
That's not very many, is it? We don't need to worry about them.
So,
Oh, but can imagine we've got a comms person in here, the PR.
yeah, and I guess a lot of them are things like probably telecare receiving centres.
Okay.
For
Exactly.
example,
We do need to worry about them.
We definitely
You
need to worry
suddenly
about them.
disconnect
And
some
CNI, yeah.
stricken granny, and that's an issue.
So I guess from what we can do is we can make them aware, we can help, but their CPs really are making them aware as well, and obviously making sure that they understand the options. But yeah, they will be ceased. So then,
So that's a very small amount of the 2.7 million,
Yeah.
and the other ones will be in.
so the other ones that there. So we have built this. Well, we have built this product called EVAC.
Right.
So emergency voice access.
Something used in Vietnam to.
I didn't choose the name.
In Vietnam.
So it's EVAC.
Yeah, emergency evac, like, helicopters in the Fort of Saigon, that sort of thing.
You know, as they
Yeah, it's medical
called out by
evac.
the-
Yeah.
But my lovely colleagues named it, so I'll love it for them.
We wouldn't dream of taking the Michael.
No,
Nearly.
thank you.
You said a naughty word.
Well done. And essentially, whilst it's an emergency voice access is the
Okay.
product, it you can use it like a normal phone.
Okay.
However, it is extremely basic, and not all customers will move. What we're doing is building some criteria to say, do we think those customers should move? Do we think those customers maybe should be ceased? So it's not nailed on that you will. If you're a CP and you've got customers, or you're a customer, the best thing to do is to move to all IP, because there is a solution for every single
So
line.
these are people in areas where all IP is available. They're on PSTN, and they're sort of just not budging for one reason or another.
Yeah, either they don't know about it, or their CP hasn't been in touch.
And things like SOTAP for analog wouldn't be offered in those areas.
Yeah,
is
it would.
It
yeah.
would.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. So
That would be viewed as them almost adapting to the situation you want people to be in.
So I guess So in terms of the sort up for analog thing, at the minute, as I say, it's sold by BT Wholesale, who onwards sell it and sell it directly through BT Business. That window is now closed that they were selling that in. So
Right.
CPs have closed their window now. So if the CP signed up for it, they might sell it, but it's got to be migration. So yeah.
Okay.
So,
from now on, you
some
can't get
people
set
will.
up right for analog.
Some people will, and they haven't moved yet. The windows haven't started migrating yet. So some people will move, but other people, if your CP hasn't signed up for it, then no.
Why would you get that as opposed to getting a more sort of something that doesn't use a media gateway and that isn't a PSTN emulation product when it's available anyway? It seems a bit bizarre.
So all IP is absolutely the solution. The way
Yeah.
forward, as I said, PDPL is a short-term product up to 2030, and it's really to help customers who cannot move. So we do have some cases of customers like DNOs, distribution network operators, so the energy companies. Some of them can't use some of the IP technology. Also, we have, I say, customers with telecare that won't move. So
Right.
it's really for those, or CNI, wherever that is, and that needs potentially power. Because remember, all IP doesn't have power, so there are use cases. And essentially, what I'm going to say is the criteria is if you meet the criteria, we will automatically move you to our EVAC product. Now, our EVAC product is actually built on the PDPL.
Right.
So we're consuming that as well from BT, and then we are kind of refining it and making it the product that it is. So really important. So in terms of what we've got left, there will be a proportion that will be left on the network as we get into end of January 2027.
Okay.
To move across to EVAC, if you've got broadband on your line, then you will lose that broadband. This is an emergency voice access only. The technology means that you cannot put broadband on it.
Right.
So essentially, if you've got broadband, if you're a customer happily going along saying, I don't need to move to all IP, everything works, then the first thing you'll notice is your broadband will go. So that's a big one. So that's why we want people to move to all IP, because you can get fantastic broadband.
Yeah.
And then there are other things. There's no service level guarantees, so no money in case we don't do the right things. We haven't announced the price yet either. So a big thing this year that's going to happen is we're raising our prices for WLR.
Right.
So, and I don't know, I think this might have been covered in the article. Probably the inference actually in the headline is for what we've got now, in April it goes up by 20%. And this is line rental.
So Mary wrote, so her headline was Openreach pushes financial incentive to get customers of copper, and then her subhead was Openreach is becoming increasingly desperate. I don't know if you agree with Mary's characterisation then, to move UK customers and businesses off its copper network, and is therefore attempting to hit them where they feel it most in the wallet. Is that her slightly more brusque interpretation of what you were just describing.
I would say we've got a bit of carrot and stick.
Right, fair enough.
And I think that's the stick. And I'm quite surprised, to be honest, that we haven't done it earlier. And the reason we haven't done it earlier is because we know that some of the hardest to move customers are vulnerable.
Yeah.
The last thing we want to do is put our price up just to get people off, and they're vulnerable to be.
Yeah.
Although we obviously charge CPs, and CPs decide their charges. So we've left this, till the last year, which I think is fair, bearing in mind it was originally a 2025 December date. We've passed that now, and I think really we've got to be thinking about encouraging people to
So
get off.
you've raised the wholesale fees, which obviously the CPs will reflect in their prices. But was that because all of that's quite heavily regulated, isn't it? So
it's heavily regulated, but WLR isn't a regulated product anymore.
it isn't okay.
Not anymore. Yeah. So it means that we can raise the price. So 20% in April.
I mean, just on the regulation front, because it sounds like one of those issues that certain newspapers might make a big fuss of, and I think they probably already have about, so-and-so, poor old grannies in the Outer Hebrides having their phone lines cut off by this horrible big company.
Yes.
Has it been one of those topics that the regulator has got quite involved in at all?
So we have very regular conversations with Ofcom. We go through everything with Ofcom, and whilst they never like to give necessarily an opinion, they would certainly give us an opinion if it wasn't something that they really do understand what we're trying to do here. And DSIT as well, we've got a very good relationship with DSIT in terms of, as I say, I don't think we've been that pushy. We haven't started putting it up by,
It's not like doubling the price or anything.
Well, we will be actually by
is it?
October, but
Okay.
I think what we've done is as well, we've given a year's notice.
Yeah, okay.
So last November we came out and we said in April it'll go up by 20%, in July it'll go up by another 40% on top of that 20,
Right.
and then by October it'll go up by another 40%.
And that's like your last chance,
So
basically.
that will be the doubling.
Yeah.
But I think we're giving everyone a notice. The other thing we're doing, so that's a bit of stick, but the carrot is, as of now, we've given a heavily discounted offer if you've got WR and you're moving to Sagia, so the Part 5 and Part Copper. We've given a very good discount off that. And this is exciting for me. This is about as exciting as my life gets. We're also relaxing the rules. So you guys, I don't know how much of the rules that we have, but in exchanges where we've got over 75% coverage, we can say you have to, if you've got FTTP available, you have to buy it. And we've got that for 1,281 exchanges, in our network. That's 12.5 million customers who are by that rule.
Right.
For between now and October, we are relaxing that rule, so you can move to Sagia for those customers.
Okay.
So actually, it means that we can really help CPs move off. So that's definitely, and heavily discounted move off. So it means it's a really easy journey. So if in your house you've got WLR and you've got FTTC and it's fast, you can move to Sagia without anyone coming to your house. Nothing will have to change. It'll all just work overnight.
Have the CPs, because it's obviously when you're dealing with, I'm guessing when it's BT retail, it's a bit easier because there's some kind of link there. But when you're dealing with other CPs that are outside the group, do you feel that they've been? There'll be less oversight of how they're marketing to their own customers about this particular issue. Like if you don't adapt, then this is what's going to happen. You're just going to be cut off.
Can I just say as well?
Yeah.
So I look after 650 customers in my team. We treat everybody exactly the same. And I'm sure you would expect me to say that, but honestly, we have brilliant relationships with some really good, some big, some small CPs, and BT are just as happy to have a good debate as any other CP is, yes, because obviously it's for them, right? It's very different. So in terms of who's reaching out to end customers, we see things.
Yeah.
I think this conversation we're having with DSIT and industry at the minute and Ofcom will be really helpful to us, because it should put the responsibility where it should be. So if you're an end customer, if it's 2.7 million, and you're saying, actually, I agree, this is the right thing to do, then you will be contacting that end customer.
Yeah, because it's quite a high number, isn't it? Still, it's not as high as it was, obviously, but it's still like a lot of households where you think, you're going to lose service potentially.
Yeah.
There's these various options you've been talking about, but
so a lot of the customers will move to something.
It's like you're losing your electricity these days. It's not quite as bad, maybe, because you're not going to sort of, you're not.
A lot of them, I think the risk is a lot of them will lose their broadband if they move across.
Yeah, but
for you and me, right? That's
and maybe they don't feel that they need it so much. But whereas I'd be like, without broadband, I'd be not making any money. Because
Yeah,
go to
well,
work, so-
yeah, me too.
You make money.
Yeah,
When did
I
that
wouldn't be
start?
without broadband. Oh,
And I think that's the thing that when somebody loses their broadband, that's the thing they'll do is they'll ring and say, probably using the mobile, ring and say, "Where's my broadband gone?"
they probably don't have mobiles. These people, some of them.
Well, I'm hoping they do because they're also going to lose a landline. Or if they move across to EVAC, yes, they'll have a landline. So I think the broadband will be definitely a reason for people losing it to ring in to say, "What have you done?" And we say, "Quickly, we'll get you onto all IP."
Yeah.
And I think that'll be a big notice afterwards. But yeah, I think it's
Has the comms side of this been challenging? This is now a second time being on this pod.
Yeah.
And much as I'd like to flatter us, this pod is not ubiquitous in its reach.
I did tell you that since I've been on this
yes.
podcast, that I've been sharing the message, and so many people have said to me, and I'm honestly not just blowing smoke here, right? So many people have said to
Done for
me,
not finishing that aphorism.
I'm very professional.
Yeah.
So many people have said to me, I didn't even know this existed. I'm listening to it now. I really enjoy it, and I'm
Cool.
listening.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I personally haven't listened to any since last June,
Right. So only if you're involved.
but I did enjoy last June's episode.
It's a bit narcissistic, Julie.
I did chat. We did talk about this. I did chat GPT it today.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
That's right.
And
So you asked ChatGPT what you should bring up apart from the stuff,
Yeah,
your main topic.
yeah.
And did it
It
give you
basically
anything?
says something that they go on about AI a lot. Is kind of what it says.
All right. Well, I might try.
It's your fault, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm the only person in the world going on about AI quite a lot. In my
It
defence.
didn't talk about skiing, to be fair.
Or
Didn't
ski jumping.
or ski
Injections.
jumping. It didn't talk about that. But yes.
No,
yeah.
but that's interesting that you found that prompt, and I'm sure it was just a little throwaway thing, and you weren't expecting too much of it. But it's sort of interesting fodder for one AI bit, and I won't go down this rabbit hole. I'll save it. I read that just really questions how advanced it is. I've got two sides of the coin to weigh up, but I'll save that for later.
Is any of this like a big financial issue at all? Because I notice it never ever comes up. It never seems to come up in like earnings calls, BT Group earnings calls, where there's a lot of conversation about Openreach is usually the main topic of conversation on those earnings calls. That's all that the investment community seems to be interested in. You get very few questions about 5G, I've noticed, or anything like that. So it's all on the Openreach side of the business. And Alison Kirkby, the kind of CEO of BT Group, has been very focused on the fibre rollout and things that are kind of related to this.
Yeah.
But nobody ever really seems to ask about all IP and PSTN switch. I'm just wondering if
And
there's
they should talk about it more.
I'm looking at it from an equity analyst perspective.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that this is more a reputational, like, we need to get these customers dealt with.
There's a few things, right, as to why PSTN needs to go. It does cost money. It costs millions to run. As I said before, it's 1% of the UK's power is PSTN.
That's quite a lot then for one company.
Yeah, and if you think about BT Group, the pledges about the green credentials, etc., that's a really important bit of getting off. It does cost a lot of money. So when we stop doing that, obviously, more into the fibre build, etc. And, we're still paying back. The fibre builds are 15 billion we've put in to, or BT Group have put into Openreach to the fibre build. And I don't know if this is a good segue, right? But we're moving across really from building to filling up our...
It is quite a good segue, but I don't want to segue prematurely. I want to make sure we've covered your main stuff. Are there any other things on your checklist that you want to cover about PSTN? I had to look at your notepad.
Glad it's helping you.
I was going to ask.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ian. Yeah.
Big on the cost saving side of it. I suppose there's the related story about exchange closure.
Yeah.
And that really does sound significant to somebody who's outside the industry and you're just looking at it from a number of buildings that you have to maintain perspective.
Yeah.
They sound very dramatic and they almost sound like this may be something that the equity analysts should be paying more attention to go down from, is it 5,500 to 1,000 is the ultimate?
Yeah, so our enduring
right.
exchanges are 959 at the minute in terms of ones that we will keep.
Right.
And at the minute we've got just over.
And that's very much linked to you need to get the PSTN shut down before that can completely happen.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you remember last time, but that's the other part of my role is looking after exchange exit. So at the minute we had 108 exchanges, as I said to you before we started. We've exited one. Woo, go Deddington. Is
that a phrase?
It is now.
When are they trying to get out of the
Oh, that's the one. I thought that maybe this was some Middlesbrough thing.
No.
When's the target for going out? The 108?
The 108 is by December. Well, it's December 30, but
Right.
but then you've got a bit of decommissioning, so it's really into the
Get a move on,
2030.
June.
And the other sort of 4,000 or whatever it is, there's not a target for those.
No,
That's just an
so
aspiration
essentially
in
what we're doing is
2030s.
we are looking at the 108 as the best buildings to get out of. Just a reminder that we don't own the buildings. BT don't own the buildings.
Telereal? or something?
Telereal sold them all to Telereal a few years ago, and so we're paying rent on them. And every few years there's a lease break.
Yep.
So obviously, as we get to this date, we get to lease breaks, and then essentially we can exit the buildings. And then another great thing we're doing is giving the buildings back to the community. You know, Telereal may be making them into houses or hotels, who knows? But essentially, it's not an ugly BT exchange anymore.
But the longer these are maintained and needed to be used, the more rent needs to be paid to Telereal.
Absolutely.
So you get them shut down, and you can just kind of.
So it's the rental saving, yeah. And then the next 4,500.
Sounds. I don't know what the figure is, because I don't think BT's come. Openreach, BT, whatever, has come out with any kind of.
No, I
figures
don't
for
think
this,
so.
but,
And whilst there is some push on that in terms of, well, you're going to be saving all this rental, we've got a commercial offer in terms of the exchange exit programme. So the CPs that have signed up for that commercial offer who are exiting, we are also giving them some commercials to move. So there is there is money to be spent there as well, and it's not if you are a CP and you're in exchanges, it's not a bad deal.
Have you seen, like, I might have asked James Lilly this when I spoke to him, but like companies that were in the same position as Openreach in other European markets, maybe going through this process and doing similar things?
So I'm not sure about exchange exit, but certainly in terms of PSTN,
Yeah.
yes. And I would say there's not one country who's done it yet.
Okay,
So they
they're
get
all-
down to the last dregs, and then they
But they
tend
still-
to have
yeah.
something like the media gateway type service. So I think I'm really hopeful that we'll be one of the first to actually say PSTN is dead.
And the target, it seems quite firm. You're not going to extend the target beyond January 2027. But is there a reason why you've been so determined to just? I mean, I guess nobody wants to keep extending a deadline, but
So massively as well. It's about the fragility of the network.
Right.
So the parts are old. It's been going for so many years, and now you kind of rubbing pieces to pay Paul. So as you close one, you can kind of take bits off one and mend it with another one. The knowledge is not there as well anymore. A lot of our engineers obviously have retired and gone on. So really, as time moves on,
this is AI. This gets into the AI topic.
as time moves on, we see that
indeed.
the network gets more fragile. There's more outages. If you look at a telecare customer and you think, I'll leave them on this because it's reliable and whatever, actually it's becoming more unreliable. Therefore, we really need to move people onto better services. And who wants to run two networks?
Yeah.
Quite really. We want to put all our money rather than trying to... I mean, the fault rate, for example, I think it's 60% less faulty, FTTP. So you can imagine as well, that really helps us as a business to say, actually, do we need as many people because we've got a lot less faults?
Yeah, I mean, I think the argument, I mean, I can remember, I don't know if you remember, there was, back when Neil McRae was at BT, we went to some briefing in BT Towers in central
Well,
London.
he was the first person I heard talking
Yeah,
about
exactly.
it.
That's why it sprung to mind for me. And obviously, everyone understands the concept of obsolescence. Everyone understands the fact that BT throughout its whole history has been there from when we used to have people literally putting plugs and exchanges and all those all those black and white footage that we're all familiar with. And the maintaining obsolete kit is obviously cost ineffective, as you say, energy wasteful and all that sort of thing. But the challenge you've got, which I presume is unique to you, I'm going to say collectively, I'm going to say BT and Openreach, at risk of getting a dirty look off Jono for not saying it the
or
right
a
way.
kick under the desk.
Or a kick under the desk, yes. Is that no one else has got all that legacy? I mean, it's your collective problem, isn't it? It's not Virgin's problem, it's not City
Well,
problem.
Virgin are also looking at their network and their Kcom as well. So actually,
Okay,
we all-
Ecom. Little whole
Yeah,
sort of...
yeah. I went to Union Hull, so I know.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never quite understood why, whenever we're talking about various sort of operators, telcos, altnets, that sort of thing, there's just this Kcom. I did look it up once, but I've forgotten. There's a reason why Hull is a sort of law unto itself when it comes to telecoms.
Mercury, wasn't it, before Kcom?
Right.
I don't know why, but
Okay, so there are one or
my
two
time.
others. Yeah,
not
before my
before your
time.
time,
But I mean,
obviously,
but principally, it's your problem. Isn't
it's
it, this stuff?
we are the backbone of the
Yeah.
infrastructure. Absolutely.
That's interesting. By the way, people listening, first of all, I think we should all give ourselves a little round of applause for not swearing.
Yes.
People might think Scott was a bit quiet. Was he just quiet because he would rather not say anything than not swear? And there are two other reasons why I was quiet. One, Ian was asking far more pertinent and searching questions
Very
than I'm
good
capable
questions,
of. And two, my colleague, you might have seen me sort of being a bit distracted and tapping away. My colleague just pinged me saying, yeah, that story's up and I'm just getting on the train now. And I was like, what, that story that's embargoed till later? And he's like, oh, shit. Oh, well, I broke my duck. It was him. I'm quoting him.
Does it count?
And then he went, oh, I'm in a taxi now. Can you sort it out? So I was trying to sort it out and I couldn't get my website to take the story down.
You were very calm, Scott, I have to say.
I know, it was like
Was it a good story?
the metaphor.
Is it a really juicy
well, I
story?
can say it. Well, it is telecoms relevant.
Because
I can say it because
doesn't go out, does it?
the embargo will have passed. No, it's two small altnets emerging. What are they called? They're called. Where's it gone? True Speed and Freedom Fibre.
That's really interesting. So I've recently got a new MD, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Yes.
And he's just come from True Speed.
Oh, no way.
James Lowther.
Well, let's move on. Are we all right to move on, Ian? That sounds like a yes.
I guess, can you just give me a final...
Oh, of course,
Let me
sorry.
do my final
I was
pitch.
planning to do that. I was just
sorry.
shutting him
Well,
up.
I was going to ask a personal question because you're moving on.
No, well, that's our next. That's our
Oh,
segue,
really?
mate.
Oh, he's
Why
very
did
bossy,
he-
isn't he?
Well, I try and orchestrate these things.
I thought that we didn't have a section on that. I was just sort of throwing.
Well,
it
no,
in
we
there
do.
as a-
We got a section that in my mind, and maybe my problem is that it's in my mind and I didn't bother to articulate it and share it with you.
There was something at the bottom of that beer, by the way.
Was there?
How old are these neck oils?
They're brand new, mate. We'll have.
I think it's in your mind.
I think it's in your mind. There's nothing. There's never anything at the bottom of my beer.
Right.
I think the problem we have with the agenda stuff is that you were talking to me while I was straightening my hair, and I don't think Ian was there.
That was quite a classic one. Juliet was brought a hair straightener along, and
doesn't look like it
she's
now,
just
does
sorting
it?
it out in the
It was
office.
very-
When your hair looks straight, to be fair.
To be fair, I was curling it, Ian.
Yeah. Oh, you were doing a
Scott.
little outward curl thing.
Yeah, but because it
There's a
was
bit of it left.
Oh,
I
thank
can see a bit of outward curl.
Good to know. I'm glad
Just
glad I got your approval.
I mean, I didn't think. I thought your hair looked perfect before you got the straightener.
Yeah, you
Oh, that's
okay?
the right thing to
Mine-
say.
He said remedying whatever
Yeah.
hole he talked himself into.
Yes.
Before we move on, you had some last thoughts on
Yeah,
this
so
main
I guess
topic.
anybody that watching this is involved in telecoms. If you're selling WLR, please move. We're going to do some. We're going to
Just get off
We
it.
are going to be doing.
What's wrong with you? You've had enough warning.
We're pitching this now as the big switch up. So this is your chance in the next year to get off WLR, to move on to products which will be there for a long time in terms of all IP. Your customers will prefer it. There'll be less fragility, less faults. It's time to move on. The times have
It's a
changed.
no-brainer, isn't it?
It's a no-brainer. And look, we've announced the pricing strategy for this year in terms of WLR. It's going up. It's doubling by October. You know, as we get into EVAC is not going to be a product really that we want people on. It is an emerging
sound like it, does it?
product. It doesn't give really call features. We haven't announced pricing on it yet. So, you can actually, did you know you can actually get some fibre products cheaper than you can get WLR and FTTC now. So it's definitely thinking about
Makes
moving. Please don't leave your customers on. We don't want them to be cut off. We don't want to lose broadband. Yeah, look out for some of the socials we're doing. We're doing some on. I've been sharing on my LinkedIn. Please follow me on LinkedIn.
And you might even be able to share some of this because I've been a good boy.
I would love to. Well, to be fair, on my own personal LinkedIn, I can share what I like. It's just,
Yeah,
I guess, the cover. We're building a new webpage, the big switch up, and it's really about getting involved, getting your customers off. Cool.
Thank you. So obviously, Juliet, you're going to make sure you hang around until the job's fully done, aren't you? That was a little cheeky aside. When we were arranging this iteration of Juliet being the guest on the pod, I just happened to notice, I think the comms have gone a bit quiet with us sorting out, and then I happened to notice on LinkedIn thing from you saying that you're moving on after, was it
26 years.
26
Can
years.
you believe it? Do I look old enough? Yeah.
You certainly don't.
Yeah.
But you didn't need to fish for that compliment. It was about to happen spontaneously.
Thank you.
And
I believe it's gone that fast.
I know. And so
I think I've been at light reading for 26 years.
what was I going to say? So you must have started when you were a child.
Oh, child. child.
There we are.
Straight
See,
out of
that was
uni,
the
to be
compliment
fair.
you were gonna
Thank
get.
you. Straight out of uni, yeah.
And so what's that all about? You're not even. And this isn't meant as any kind of criticism, but you're not even seeing it to the end.
I know.
You're going this summer, is it?
I'm going at the end of June. I'm really quite sad.
I bet.
Well, to be fair, let's just make it really clear this was my choice.
Well, I presume you wouldn't be here if,
No,
if it was on sort of difficult terms.
It is my choice, and yeah.
We'd be trying to get you drunk to sort of really bitch about your employer.
Well, we can do that as well.
Yeah.
No, I'm very proud of everything we've done in Openreach and all my time in BT Group. I've been in Openreach now for 16 years, and I think I do feel like it's home. So it's going to be really difficult to.
Right.
I've been to the head office today. I walk in and I see so many people I actually like. I mean, some I don't like, but a lot that I like. And I'm really going to miss them. And I'm going to miss things like, I feel passionate about these programs, and I'm not
Clearly.
putting that on. I
No,
really do feel
that
passionate.
comes through.
And I want to, and I guess the fact that I came in straight after graduation to BT.
It's going to be weird, isn't it? Not
be
doing
very weird.
this thing that you've done your whole professional life.
Although, to be fair, in BT Group, you can have different
Move around a
careers.
fair bit, yeah.
I once looked at and had a job.
Not like
where
us, where basically if we're not doing our job, we've got no job.
Well, that's true. Luckily, it's going so well with all my helping you with the numbers.
Well, quite. We're going from strength to strength. Thank you.
Ironically, in BT, one of my roles was to get people out of buildings homeworking. Now, obviously, we're going the other way, which is part of the reason that I'm looking for something else, because the travel is quite a lot
Right.
for me. So, quite looking forward to. Am I not allowed to say that?
Probably not.
Oh well, it's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's going. She can say what she
So I
wants.
probably shouldn't say that then. So obviously, yeah, I'll miss a lot of people, but it's the right thing for me personally to start looking at what else is out there. And I'd say I want something I'm really passionate about, so I don't really mind if it's telecoms or not. I'm really just looking for a job that I love.
Indeed, and ideally one that's
Paid really
not a million
well.
Yeah, we're paid well, obviously,
from home.
and not a million or working from home.
Writing some bullets here.
I was a complete tangent. I was reading just some current affairs on the train on the way in. And apparently Nigel Farage has come up and made some speech about people working from home, and just come out with some really sort of old gittish stuff about people just need to get in the office and pull their socks up, sort of thing. And then
Get in the fields, down the mines.
well,
Why doesn't
maybe.
he really go for it?
Well, indeed.
Ironically, somebody who's never in his own constituency. Ironic.
Yeah, and
He's down in the pub, isn't he?
exactly. If that counts as the office, then I'm all in, Nige. But it's interesting. It's obviously created a sort of talking point for people. And I was reading Spectator, and I read two different. They're quite good at balance. One person going, yeah, he's bang on. Another person going, he's talking shit. Sorry, I might have to start swearing again. I mean, we got through the.
I think we're
the
fine
important
now.
bit.
I think we're fine.
I think he's talking shit. By the way, that's I come down that camp.
I think it depends on the job.
Of course, it depends on the job. So, and also the age. Like my son's just started doing his first proper job. He's doing an apprenticeship at a company called Which, and he's
It's a magazine company.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
and he's on the sort of data protection, just sort of managing data side of things.
Right.
And he goes in 2 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a 21-year-old, not going in at all,
Yeah.
that would be wrong. You know, you're still finding your feet. I was just in here, you know, we generally just come in for this, and I was just in the kitchen area, saw some young people chatting, and they were doing young people chat. And I was thinking, yeah, you can't do that over Teams and that sort of thing. But for me, for what me and Ian do,
I'm an old curmudgeon. So
well, I
have to
mean,
young
it's a
people
solitary
chat.
thing. I mean, we just sit and write our stories. There isn't a social element to it.
Yeah.
So
I think a bit of balance is good, right? I enjoy seeing people. I really get energy from being with people. I went to the office today, and but I'm terrible at putting people off doing work, because I go and talk to them about stuff and what's going on.
and that's the flip side of
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that. Whereas you don't have that.
But then to focus, to do the real stuff when you're on calls all day. I find it really. I've got a beautiful office, as people will know. I've got a gorgeous map as part of one wall. I have a cat that sits on my lap, and I look like I'm going to take over the world.
Yes.
Yeah, apparently. So I
Expect you to die,
and
Mr.
that-
Bond.
But for me as well, that without travelling, yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank
And
you.
do keep in touch.
Thank you.
And if it's anything Telecoms-y and you want to tell the world about it,
Love
you know where we
love
are.
it. Yeah, thank you. I was actually thinking, so this is a bit rogue. I was thinking I could be your northeastern correspondent. Yeah,
Indeed.
yeah, because people don't really like to travel. You know.
No,
I could go in the street for you and start to ask questions about telecoms, and you could, yeah.
Yes, I
To be
think.
fair, I'm up for anything right now.
I think you're assuming we do a bit more proper journalism than we actually do. I mean, that's a thing. There's an AI angle to this. Doing proper journalism is expensive, and that's why there's less and less of it. There was, I think, recently, Washington Post got rid of some huge proportion.
That's
of
all
their
over
newsroom.
LinkedIn all the time now.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, there is an AI angle. We've laboured this point lots of times on the pod before. I'll still push back on whether or not AI could fully replace what we do, but it can replace a lot of really entry-level journalism where it's more like collation, more just like this happened. Where people like me and Ian.
Wrong, like with the whole West Ham football story with what happened with the Israeli football team. AI is great for gathering facts.
Oh, right.
It's right.
Well, yeah.
Let's be really careful.
That's a really big variable.
I don't
as well.
think the Washington Post job cuts are to do with AI.
Well, yeah. So the other thing that's happened is
Journalism's been in trouble for quite a long time.
journalism's been in trouble because the money supply
So far.
money supply started atrophying as soon as the internet came along. So the main culprits for journalism being in decline is Google and Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, AI to
another.
me is just an evolution of that, really. Anyway,
But yeah. So, and it's not just you that's leaving Openreach. We wrote a story this week about what was it? This is Mary again.
Isn't she?
She is. It's a good thing someone does some work around it. BT exec reshuffle raises questions about its future. And the biggest part of this reshuffle was Clive Selley, who's been the CEO of Openreach since forever.
We talked about Clive last time. I'm sure you tried to get me to say something about if Clive leaves.
Right, there we are.
You obviously don't remember what we talked about.
no.
Well, we speak to a lot of
They all
people.
blur.
To be fair, you do.
It's not like you, where your only engagement with the pod is when you're on it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Well, to be fair, that probably is true, but you're on it every week.
Quite.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes twice a week.
and we're old and we drink too much. You can't expect us to remember things.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Clive Selley. So what's actually happening is he's sort of semi-moving on. He's moving to another part of BT, which has got nothing to do with Openreach, is it, Johnny? He's moving to BT International, which used to be run by a Dutch bloke called Bas Berger.
I thought he was BT Business.
Well,
He
not
was
according to
BT
our
Business,
reporting.
but he moved on to BT International.
So hang on a minute. The divisions at the moment, there's obviously Openreach, which is over there.
Yeah, separate. Yeah, legally separate.
Then there's BT Consumer.
So you got BT Consumer, which also incorporates EE,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
PlusNet as well.
Yes.
And then you've got BT Business,
BT
which
Business.
also incorporates. So that's the direct business plus wholesaler in there as well.
BT Business would be all UK based.
Yes, it is. Yes, and then
So there's three groups basically, ignoring Openreach.
Yeah, because there used to be BT
There's three-
Global
there's three
Services, but I think
divisions,
they incorporated that
consumer,
into
business,
international.
Okay.
It's all in Mary's excellent report. But the interesting thing about it is, to the best, I've never read any stuff particularly that's critical of Clive Selley.
Anything at all.
Clive is amazing. Clive was an apprentice engineer. So he has absolutely...
He's a proper lifer.
He is a proper life. Yeah, I thought I'd been there a long time, but he gets it. He really understands it from an engineering perspective. He was also lead of... I can't remember what it's called now. What's the other? Networks. He was Networks as well, yeah, before he came into Openreach. So he's a stalwart, if that's the right word. And he's looked after Openreach like it's been his baby. I mean,
Was he then sort of Howard Watson's predecessor on the network
Yes, he
side,
was.
and then
Yes,
Howard
he
Watson
was,
came
yeah.
into that role and he moved to Openreach? I
Yes.
seem to remember that.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I always found a bit suspicious. You know, I know we've been like half joking with Jono in the background about the separation between BT and Openreach, but you know, when they went, right, we're completely separate and we're going to put a BT lifer in charge of it, it's like, oh right, yeah, it's really fucking separate, isn't it?
but it's interesting. And I hear you, right? But
You've lurched to the other extreme now, Scott.
I think we did
hear
well.
you, but I have had the luxury or the privilege of being in some board-to-board sessions, right, when I've been covering for James. And I hear the conversations that we have. We honestly treat BT exactly the same as we
Okay.
treat others.
I believe
And I
you.
can say that because I am quite an honest person.
Yeah.
I would say.
And you're
And
clearing off, so
appreciate
you've
that.
got even less incentive
Yeah,
to be
and honestly, we treat
blindly
everyone
loyal.
the same. And, you know, the discussions Clive has with the other CPs are just the same. So, it's about personal integrity, and I think Clive
believe you.
absolutely got that, and so is Katie, right? So
Yeah, so he's now moving on to head up BT International,
yeah,
and he's
It's out for sale.
well, we'll come to that. And his deputy was Katie Milligan, and she's now stepping into his shoes. So, can you tell us about Katie? What's she
Katie
like?
is unbelievable. So I can honestly say I've been in Openreach 16 years. I think she's been the same. And she came in, so she used to be a product manager, and she's moved her way up. I've never, ever, I can honestly say I've never, ever heard anyone say a bad word about Katie. People person and the ideal person. If you think about now, we're moving. We're at peak build. By the end of this year, we'll have reached 25 million. Then we're going to hopefully go 1 million a year and get to 30 million by 2030 if the conditions are right and we've got all the right things in place. We now need to be filling up the network. So I think, to be fair, we're on 38% coverage. In terms of our FTP build. If you think about the fact that we've stayed at I think we're 36, 37, 38. If you think about how as you're building 1 million premises a quarter, you can keep your percentage the same. That's pretty phenomenal in terms of building our network. So we've got 8.2 million customers on FTTP. Katie's the ultimate person to make sure we fill up that network because she cares about customers. Not that Clive didn't, but Katie. But every time you talk to Katie, it's about customers and about engineers, and you see her out there in the field.
So she's very hands-on.
So sorry if that was a bit of a
no, not at all.
fangirling, but I think she's brilliant.
I don't know her, so it's good to hear from someone.
Yeah, I
else.
never thought about the take-up rate, which has gone up.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, as you say, the build-out's very rapid as well. So you're having to basically, as soon as an area is built out, you've got to ensure that customers are on that network and taking advantage of it fairly quickly. So that's a nice metric to have, isn't it? Because it was under 30%, I remember, just a couple of years ago. So for it to be up at 38%.
And some of the things we've put in place to kind of keep that, I guess. So we, as I talked about before, we have exchanges where if you're above 75% coverage, you can only offer that product. So that helps to keep people migrating to keep on the product. But it's a great product. I'm on it. I don't know if you guys are on FTTP, but yeah.
I am, although currently not through Openreach. It's a shocking admission, I know.
I have to say, even though and of course we don't do any bribes and things, but I did give you some Openreach socks that I'm really disappointed to see you haven't got on today.
So there's a story behind that, and talking about bribes, I can't believe I am on full fat BT fibre to the home.
Well, I don't mind which.
But I've never solicited a discount from you, so maybe it's not too late.
Do you know what?
I'm incriminating myself on the pod.
Sorry.
The reason I'm not on it is because for a long time it wasn't actually offered in my area, and then I moved on to community fibre.
Oh, okay.
And then we did move house, but because we had it, it was just like transfer the account to the new address, and this will have to come over, obviously, and fiddle around with a pole and take a bit of fibre and put it through your wall. But
stick it through your duct.
All I'd say is I'd like to say that we've got a quality product. It's really well.
No, I mean, I was on FTTC through Openreach previously, and I always thought that was good, but it was just a case of wanting to get full fibre, and I understand that,
and that's I guess why we're trying to go as quickly as possible.
Some of those numbers are the line loss numbers, I suppose, is things like that.
Yeah, it's what we haven't built, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know the socks. So when you were on before, there was talk of branded socks.
Yes.
And you, between the two of you, you kindly arranged to get a couple of socks sent.
A couple of pairs of socks.
A couple of pairs of socks. And then once or twice, I think I bumped into you, Jono, and you're like, "How are the socks?" And I just sort of looked confused. Anyway, one of the reasons I look confused is because I got an email from our post room last December saying, "Scott, we've had something here since August." And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Well, I ran into Jono and he said,
exactly." So,
before then, and he said, "How are the socks?" I said, "Scott hasn't given them to me yet."
Well, it's because I hadn't got them. So long and short of it is, I probably got a message when they first arrived and just forgotten about it, and then the post room just didn't follow up on it till December when they're presumably having some kind of purge. And then I went and got mine. I wonder what that is. And we opened up and it's like, oh shit, it's the Openreach socks. So it took us about 6 months to actually take receipt of them. Sorry. But that's what you get.
They are good socks, though.
They are good socks. And as I said to you before,
good quality.
There's a guy from CP that has got 4 pairs apparently, and he said they're the most comfy socks he's ever worn. I do have a pair, so hopefully I'll grab a few more pairs before I leave.
I think you should. I mean, we obviously couldn't wear them because we wouldn't want people to think that we're biased in favour of Openreach just because we're
I
wearing
think you're allowed to wear socks.
Can I just say, you've been drinking
Openreach
malt
beer.
Irish whiskey that somebody bought you, so that's
But
similar.
that's not branded. If that was like City Fibre branded Irish whiskey, that would be a different matter.
I'm not worried about wearing socks.
No, I'm not worried about it at all. I was just being facetious.
Okay. And then to be fair, you can only see the Openreach when you take your shoes off because it's just at the
Yeah, it's
bottom.
only on the bottom.
Yeah.
Ah.
I had
Nobody wants you to take
I
your
had to
shoes
prove to Keith Dyer, so I wore them. Oh, you'll love this. I wore them to a Vodafone 3 party.
off. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, one of our
And then I had to
biggest
prove to Keith Dyer that I had Openreach socks on, and he went, "They don't make socks Openreach." And I took my shoe off, and he was bedazzled.
In fact,
Did he
I
get FOMO?
think
Where are my pair?
apparently they're such good socks that like Marks and Spencer's is a shop full of clothes, but they're best for the food. Well, I think that Openreach, we should have a special Openreach sock shop.
I thought you were about to say you're better at socks than telephones.
I would never say that.
That's a growth opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, growth, but yeah, absolutely right. You know, but when we're finished building fibre, what can we do? Let's sell some socks.
I think that might be what you do.
It's a natural transition.
After the summer.
I don't really want to sell socks, Scott.
Well, no, I mean, but further up, you know, you could.
Oh,
be,
I see.
You could
After the MD of a
strategizing about
strategized socks. Yeah, yeah.
conceptualizing.
Maybe not.
There used to be a chain called the Sock Shop.
They did. They did.
No, what a weird thing, just to have a shop.
Yeah, but I
just
think that's
does
a good
Love
idea
socks.
for a shop.
Yeah.
Well, it's-
love
Why is that gone out of
socks.
business?
because it was a shit idea.
It's a great idea.
I'd
quite
buy
niche.
it.
I don't think it's sustainable.
scarves
It's obviously not
Everybody
sustainable.
has socks.
I agree.
Couple of
Ian,
scarves.
I love socks.
Underwear maybe as well. Diversified.
You can still put it in the sock
No, I've
shop
got
and
Marks
have
and Spencer
underwear in
socks on
it.
today with a little heart on, just for you guys. Actually, I have brought my own Openreach socks. I was going to wear them if you had yours on, but
Let's
I'm not.
see.
But I'm
I
not.
feel bad I didn't now.
This room's not
Just
big
put my
enough
head.
for us all to suddenly start sticking our feet in front of the camera and all that sort of
Luckily,
thing.
because to be fair,
Actually,
as
most
well,
people listen to this
it's-
rather than watch.
It's quite well, yeah. Actually, a colleague said to me today, I didn't realise it was on video. I was like, Raj, I've been telling you about this for a year, and he's listened to it. But
You're
he
missing
was
out
very
on
impressed
the
that it was on
glamour that is
Spotify.
Scott and Ian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to say about the corporate stuff so when Mary wrote a piece and she and I, you know, part of the editor's job, we don't just go, yeah, right about that. We often have a bit of to and fro about angles and I sort of sometimes will do a bit of research on the back and go, you might want to consider this. And we thought we'd go quite speculative. And I just thought it was an interesting juncture, knowing you were going, seeing that Clive's moving on, just joining a few dots and thinking, has Openreach reached a bit of a juncture? Maybe to do with the rate of rollout, where there could be some kind of inflection point where that slows down and then you need less headcount and all that sort of thing. And Ian's written excellent pieces about BT on the BT Group. Sorry, John.
Well, the
On the headcount side. So yeah, I was just wondering whether, you know, putting two and two together, you've left after 26 years, Clive Soley's left after so long. Is there a bit of an inflection point in the
Yeah,
in
me
the
and Clive, we had a
That's-
chat and we said,
You're starting up a
let's
business
do it
together.
together. But yeah, I mean, Clive, you know, Clive in the pieces, I think actually Clive's not a big LinkedIn person, so I don't think he has, but certainly internally, you know, he can see the line to get into 25 million. I don't think he needs to stay to do that.
Right.
As I say, Katie's been deputy CEO, so obviously it's been in the cards that she was going to, and you know, in the last 6 months, she's been shadowing him and making sure that, you know, she can set off and
he was always pretty much certain to be the
he has been
successor.
absolutely recently, yeah.
Right.
And you know, if you looked in our business, that's who you. I think as I said.
Well, I didn't. I mean, I didn't know that she was. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I wasn't even aware of her as his deputy. So,
Yeah.
and
Deputies
internally,
tend to be in the background a bit.
you'd see it differently, but I wasn't aware of anybody being sort of touted as his successor. And sometimes companies do bring people in from outside. Other BT and Openreach are a little bit
I think she
different,
came,
maybe, but-
a couple of years ago became COO.
right.
And that was
okay.
a step up from her MD, and then more
Yeah.
recently deputy CEO.
I mean, we were speculating because I didn't write the story myself. I think we sort of probably put it as a news bite in our Eurobytes column, but you know, I'm aware of him being quite highly regarded in the industry, and that rollout of the once that decision was taken to sort of expand fibre to 25 million premises, it's gone pretty well operationally. Well, very well operationally,
a
I'd
lot
say.
better than HS2 ever did.
Totally, completely. Yeah, I don't think anybody
Rely
would
on us to
dispute
do
that.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Completely.
Yeah,
And therefore, I think he's got a fairly solid reputation. And he's also, forgive me, Clive Sully, if you ever listen to this, he's of an age where you might think people start to think about, retirement, especially if you're doing a role like that, which consumes a lot of your day. So I thought maybe, and I'm not expecting either of you to comment on this, but by either I mean Jono, by the way, in the background, but that he was probably just thinking, it's time for me to move aside, and maybe Alison Kirkby went, you've done such a good job there, why don't you come and look after this bit that we're still kind of deciding the future of and try and do something with it.
There has been lots of reporting, including by us, on
likely
BT thinking of selling.
Well, I don't think it's, but I think it's been pretty much openly discussed on calls
I'm not saying it's a scoop
unit could be sold. So
and so then again, when you're completely speculating, and this is quite weird because we're speculating from outside with people who are on the inside, for you to either tell us we're full of shit or keep your cards close to your chest, whatever you want to do, that maybe this is Clive's last gig.
Yeah,
and get it ready. We want to sell it. We trust you to get it in its best possible shape for.
I could just imagine him going, I've had enough. I want to go and do the things that I like to do. And Alison goes, this BT International thing. We need
one last job for you, son.
I can also see though,
before you get to the beach.
I can also see Clive saying, "I'm not quite ready to go." He's so full. I mean, he doesn't stop. He's in early outlet. He's at different things. I can see him also saying, "I'm not quite ready to go."
Yeah.
And one other thing I read, I think I was actually reading, you said Clive doesn't do LinkedIn. I think Baz Berger did put something on LinkedIn this week. And it reminded me how the BT International thing, there's a bit more of a focus on wholesale with, I think it's BT Fibres. No, sorry, Fabric. Is that what it's called? Anyway.
That's a business product.
Yeah.
Global Fabric, you're thinking.
Global Fabric, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, just the wholesale part of what I read jumped out at me, and I thought, well, if there's anyone who knows about wholesale, it's Clive Selling. So I could see that
there's been quite a changeover at the top level, hasn't there, at BT Group recently?
Yeah, with Howard moving
So
on.
you've obviously got Alison Kirkby is the big one in the last couple of years, but then Howard Watson leaving and being replaced by Greg McCall. You've got
Claire Dennis as well.
Yeah, Baz Berger now,
That's
obviously.
It.
So
we met last year in Barcelona.
There's quite a big sort of change. Mark Allaire, obviously Mark Allaire with you, the lady you mentioned, but there's quite a big sort of change out at the top level.
Isn't it fantastic to see more women as well?
Of course.
As a woman, as having 3 daughters, having role models at the top.
I like the way she asked us that question. That didn't leave a lot of scope for dissent, the way you asked.
Well, bearing in mind the pre-conversation about having a Yorkie bar and what the Yorkie bar used to say.
So for people just listening...
Oh, so the slope is on the side, and it's... No, the other one. What does it say? One for now, one for later. Oh, it's a duo bar. One for now, one for later used to be, it's not for girls.
Yeah,
way back. This is 80s or 90s, that was their marketing slogan.
Not that long ago. No way.
More recent than that?
And they used to be more chunky. Oh, I'm thinking about a Yorkie chunky, that's why.
Yeah.
So the marketing was, it's not for girls, and superficially it was appealing to men in theory because it's quite...
Because it was big, muscular,
wasn't it? It was
trucking chocolate. Yeah.
And Juliet, you were saying, contrarian that you're like, well, I'm going to fucking have one anyway, even though you say it's not for girls.
Yeah. I don't think I used that word, but I think...
I bet you did.
I probably did.
It's too late now.
I probably did.
And then I thought, well, but maybe that's really clever marketing.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to appeal to exactly that mindset to girls who felt that defiance.
I think it was clever marketing.
Who felt a bit annoyed.
But it also obviously...
I'll learn them, I'll buy one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But also it is brilliant that we've got more females.
I think it's good, yeah.
Because as a woman, you come in and you just see all men. I mean, to be honest, I work in... So Openreach is a very, very male-dominated business.
Yeah.
And that's probably where my swearing levels have definitely increased over the years. That's what I'm blaming anyway. And because you want to fit in, right? You want to be with everybody else. And even if maybe I swear more than a lot of men because I want to be... And so I think it's great that there are women to aspire.
Swearing's cool.
Well, I quite enjoy it. And I feel like it's a release for me.
It's not, and for me, I mean, obviously it's impossible for me to decouple it, but for me, it's not some sort of blokey building site type of thing. It's just part and parcel of how I express myself, being emphatic, adding colour, that sort of thing. And I suppose men perhaps do it a bit more. God knows what the evolutionary psychology or cultural reasons are. But yes, I'd never really thought of it as and certainly my wife is no shrinking violet in that respect.
Isn't it interesting though that I can turn it on and turn it off? So at home,
Yeah.
I just swear, but like here today, I wouldn't because I'm professional, and I very rarely do. And I'm talking to customers, but when I'm talking internally,
You
I
think it's not
absolutely do.
professional to swear? Is that what you're
When
trying
I
to
also
say?
speak to my mum, I swear quite a lot.
You can, and do you know what? I can turn it on and off. I do once a year. I present some awards, and I'm up on stage for like an hour or two, and the whole time I don't swear, do I?
Wow.
No.
And then, of course, when my kids were little, I managed not to swear around them. I don't know when I sort of went, "Fuck it, I'm going to start swearing."
Yeah.
But you know, you got to wait till at least I don't know 7 or 8 or something. You'd obviously think that's a bit
Well,
early.
my kids are a bit older. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you've got older kids as well. So
But
yeah.
you can't
now
be. I mean, you can't have some cute little chubby cheek kid like repeating his parents.
really.
Oh, her parents.
really.
So
It's funny when you chastise them for swearing because they've heard it from someone, and then you turn around and you do it.
Well,
yes, well, then you're a hypocrite, aren't you?
Yeah.
it's the toddler. There's a really funny YouTube clip.
Yeah,
that-
when it's other kids, it's
of
funny.
the like a 2-year-old, I think, looking out the window, and there's this donkey walking around, and he goes, I think it was in Australia, but he goes, "Look, Dad, it's a fucking donkey." and his dad's obviously looked out this window before and like
As
gone
far
to
as
the
the kid's
mum,
concerned,
"There's a fucking donkey in the back garden."
As far as he's concerned, that's the qualifier for a donkey.
It's hilarious watching it, but it's exactly the reason why you've got to be quite careful at
Yeah.
the toddler age.
I'm so
but-
glad I'm past that, to be fair. As a mum, I'm
So how old are your girls?
20, 18, 16.
Right, and Ella's the 20-year-old is at Cambridge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chloe's going to be a pilot, which is,
Oh wow.
yeah, hopefully going to be a pilot, yeah.
They're very sort of formerly currently male-dominated
Yeah.
roles. Still,
Yeah,
aren't
yeah.
they,
And then my
actually? So-
youngest wants to be something, or she's going to do politics at A level, like to do
Yeah.
something, actually fighting for the rights of women and, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Cool. Well, they've
love
got a great role model.
Who's that?
She was looking at me to see whether I was taking the piss or not.
I was.
Tell that look on your face. It's like, are you
I
serious here,
I
Scott?
just, you know what I would say to my kids is just be happy, honestly. You've got, this life is too short, right?
Yeah, and you know, I'm genuinely being sincere. I mean, for them to be as accomplished as they already are,
Yeah.
you've got to take some credit for that. But I mean, a lot of it's them, most of it's
Yeah,
them,
it is.
obviously. But you give them the environment and you give
I
them
just think I've kept them alive. I mean, God, isn't that
yeah,
amazing
that's
as
your
parents?
main job as a parent.
But
isn't it?
don't you ever look back at your kids and think, I've fed you every day? I mean, I might not have cooked it, but I've provided. And I think that's
I've
quite,
given you McDonald's every day.
it's quite amazing. I'm quite proud of my achievement of keeping them alive.
You should. I think being a parent's the most profound thing anyone can do.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing.
So yes, and you see it. So you got they're just starting to get into the adult world. My son's just got his first proper job,
Brilliant.
and you think, cool, my work here is done. No, not quite.
No,
definitely.
not.
I mused over the role of being a parent of adults since Jack was about 18. It's interesting. It's just a different thing. You know, you're not sort of having to feed and clothe and do all the basics for them, but then you step into a different role where you're an advisor and a
Yeah.
mentor and a source of stability and all
And
that
a source
sort
of
thing.
money.
And a source of
Yeah,
money. Yes.
yeah.
That's for damn sure. Look, we had this natural break, and I could do with a little break. Do you need a break, Ian?
Haven't we nearly finished?
No, we got about half an hour or so left.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
we-
I
there's
thought
no
it
way
was
we
like 10 to
started.
4.
Yeah, but there's no way we started bang on 2.
Okay.
Okay, I can power through it.
No,
if
if
that you
we're
had
going
a
for
few
another
other
half
things.
an hour, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, well, let's have a quick break then. Go on. Let me take this opportunity to once more thank the sponsors of this podcast, Cohere Technologies, which is the innovator behind the Universal Spectrum Multiplier software for 4G and 5G, and Pulsone technology for 5G and 6G coexistence, ISAC and NTN. Nice one. Okay, so we're back. Juliet's still finishing off her Yorkie. That's fine. I'll give you a moment.
Thank you.
Proving once and for all, it is for girls.
And it wasn't a prop.
Well, no, you're genuinely big tucking into that Yorkie. Given that we haven't got that much time left, we were chatting about a few things, Ian, that we could have spoken about that you've written. But given that we're doing a pod tomorrow, I think we might
Given that
just
you're
park
not
them.
interested.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we've mentioned this loads of times on the pod. We've just got this recurring thing between me and Ian. I quite like the format of this pod that's evolved organically over the years. Is the main segment is like our guest, or if we don't have a guest, whatever we think the biggest news item of the week is. Second segment, more often than not, is something that Ian's written. And then the third segment's a more whimsical, tangential thing that I'm interested in. And Ian still bitches and moans that thing's not telecoms enough every time I bring it up. So it's become a thing. And so this time, before
too
we
old
start,
to change, I'm afraid.
no, I wouldn't have you any other way, mate. God bless you. And so this is AI, but not necessarily with a telecoms pretext. I just think it's really interesting, and I quite like. I mean, I'll let our audience, if anyone wants to give us feedback on LinkedIn, to see whether they stick it out to the end, and B, whether they think it's valid to have a last sort of 20 or 30 minutes of more tangential stuff. I think it adds a little bit of balance after we've just gone deep on telecom stuff. Anyway.
Data shows that Dean Bubley's feedback goes up to 5 times the speed in the last half.
I don't think it's humanly possible to go 5 times the speed.
It just sounds like we've been inhaling helium when he listens to that. What was I going to say? And of course, AI has been a recurring thing, but just interesting stuff just keeps coming up. We're in the middle of a really interesting period. And there's two things I want to bring up that I saw that look at the current period of how AI more broadly is evolving. And as I'm sure you're aware, Julia, some of the chat is like how it's going to affect the workplace and how many jobs it's going to make redundant and all that sort of thing. I'm pleased to hear you went on your own terms and you weren't just made redundant by AI. And so there were two things. There was something that's at the top of TechMe at the moment. It's just written by a chap I haven't heard of before, but he's an AI insider. And he said...
He's an AI?
No, he's someone who works in the AI industry. Oh, maybe he is an AI.
How would you know?
Well, quite.
You met him?
No. Now, shut up. And it's called Something Big Is Happening, and it's quite a long piece. I mean, look it up. It's written by a bloke called Matt Schumer. But there's just one paragraph that I wanted to read. So he's someone who's like a developer or who writes apps or whatever. And he writes in bold, "I am no longer needed for the actual technical work of my job. I describe what I want built in plain English and it just appears." And then he goes, I want to read this whole paragraph because I read it to myself and I was just like...
engineering, yeah?
Yeah, but taking it to another level, this is what's really interesting about it. He goes, let me give you an example so you can understand what this actually looks like in practice. I'll tell the AI, quote, "I want to build this app. Here's what it should do. Here's roughly what it should look like. Figure out the user flow, design, all of it," close quote. And it does. It writes tens of thousands of lines of code. Then, and this is the part that would have been unthinkable a year ago, it opens the app itself. It clicks through the buttons. It tests the features. It uses the app the way a person would. And if it doesn't like how something looks or feels, it goes back and changes it on its own. It iterates like a developer would, fixing and refining until it's satisfied. Only once it's decided the app meets its own standards does it come back to me and say, it's ready for you to test. And when I test it, it's usually perfect.
Wow.
And I just think And I'm seeing this sort of writing coming up all the time, and I know I can hear Ian grumbling at the hyperbole of it, like when I talked about that Dario Amodei thing. But this guy isn't Dario Amodei; he's someone I'd never heard of
He's
before.
not talking about it in the way that Dario Amodei does. Dario Amodei talks about it like, you can't be trusted with this tech. With great power comes great responsibility.
Fair
and
enough.
all this crap. And it's
So how
like
would you characterise what I just read?
I mean, he's more like the impact it will have on day-to-day jobs,
Yeah.
which is probably how people should be talking about it. Because I think when you talk about it in the Dario Amodei way, it doesn't actually, counterintuitively, it doesn't actually make people very worried about it.
So that paragraph I read,
shown.
I mean, it's just the rate at which it happens. He goes, this wouldn't have been possible a year ago. And it's, there's an old saying about how...
I'm a little bit sceptical of some of what he said.
Why?
Because I think a lot of other people don't say it's not as good as he said.
Yeah, well, I do have a
People from
counterpoint, by the way.
People from the software community, people that we know and liaise with quite regularly, say it's not as anywhere near as good as that.
Fair enough. And one thing I'm acutely aware of when I'm opining about it is I don't really use AI, so
But
I'm actually bad.
the way he's described it is, it's like somebody saying because it's a natural language. It's doing the same thing with computer code that it would be able to do with, say, producing a Scott or Ian article or something, right? So it's the equivalent of somebody
But
saying,
beyond the code, it's the full completed app
Sure.
and the testing
Sure.
and qualifying process.
Sure. So it's the same as somebody saying, I got this AI to write a novel and it was the same quality as something that you get from Martin Amis, and then it went out and marketed the book as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I don't hear anybody saying that, and that's basically what he's saying. So I'm dubious,
Fair enough.
very dubious about it.
Wait.
And do you guys worry then about AI and taking over the world and all that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think you got that from your ChatGPT.
I don't worry about it taking over the world.
No.
I worry about stupid people using it to
Yeah.
replace lots of jobs and basically not leaving people with nothing to do. And we're all overly reliant on this stuff. And nobody really understands how to do anything anymore. And nobody can string a sentence together because they've never been taught to. And nobody can do a maths
See,
equation.
don't you think, though, when
I worry about that.
when people brought in computers and it's like, oh, this will save you loads of time, but actually what do? We just do more and more with it. Like,
yeah.
like my I think I said this last time, my kids hate AI and they hate
Right.
that I use ChatGPT. But it's
Really? That's
but-
interesting. Even your mathematician.
Oh, that she absolutely hates it. She's
Right.
they're all old school. They don't
For them.
they don't rely
Well,
on
that's
they
why
don't
they're smart
trust
girls
it.
who've gone to Cambridge and done intelligent things. It's the people who lean on it too much who've got the problems.
Well, like me. Well, I use ChatGPT.
I didn't mean like you,
No.
but I think youngsters sometimes there's a
Yeah.
problem in
Oh,
education at the
definitely.
moment with people, because I have kids still in the educational system who are, and I have stories about people over relying on this stuff to do essays and studying. And I look at the way my younger son is doing his GCSEs at the moment, is approaching sort of art subjects like English literature, and they're doing Romeo and Juliet. And it's like you don't have to think about it yourself anymore. You can just say, tell me what I need to say about Act 3.
I mean, for homework, it's ridiculous.
So there's no. What is the impact on that over a long period of time of people who approached Shakespeare as this is an early way of looking at text and analysing it and having to think and use your brain to think about
you lose
language.
the critical evaluation.
And you
of
stop doing
everything,
that and you're leaning on this stuff to do it. And how's that going to play out over a long period of time? That's what I worry about. It's not AI. This stuff's not sentient. That's just stupid.
Well, this is actually what you're saying there is germane to the point I want to make. And, you know, you may be right, you may be not, but I see enough of this stuff. You know, it's so hard to...
I'm right about it not being sentient.
Yeah, you are right about that. It's so hard to imagine when history's being played out while you're in the middle of it. It's so hard to imagine how it's going to look in retrospect. And I've just got a feeling we're in the middle of something that feels like a bit of a steep growth curve in some direction or other. I'm not going to I'm certainly not an AI utopian. I'm definitely more worried about it than I am zealous about it. But things just seem to be moving very fast. And every time I see something anecdotal like this, and I grant you, it's just one guy, it's just one anecdote. I just think it's interesting. But I'm gonna have a sort of counterweight to it. There's just one more little thing I want to quote from this guy. He goes, he's talking about GPT 5.3 codex that was released recently. He goes, there's something about that model that shook me the most. It wasn't just executing my instructions, it was making intelligent decisions. This is going to have Ian fucking losing his shit.
No, it wasn't making intelligent decisions.
It had something that felt for the first time like judgment, like taste. Anyway, before you freak out, Ian, I've got a countervailing thing, which was a recent Stanford University study, very academic thing with millions of footnotes and all that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm going to read a couple of things. You know, the academic study, obviously, I wouldn't dream of starting to read on this pod.
No.
But
I might leave.
Ian's like, thank fuck. But there's one X account that seems to have summarised bits of it quite well. And it says this person's called God of Prompt. So they obviously, I presume they're talking about prompt engineering and that sort of thing. And he goes, Stanford just published the most uncomfortable paper on LLM reasoning I've read in a long time. And the long and short of it, and this is backed up by a guy I often mention on this pod called Richard Windsor, who publishes a site called Radio Free Mobile. And the long and short of it, from what both of them said, is it's not reasoning. It's still just probabilistic. It's still
it's
just
not
pattern
reasoning.
recognition. Yeah, I know this is affirming what you're saying, but I'm telling you that this is the this is the sort of public debate that's going on.
But it's a stupid public debate.
Well, it's not.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Don't you think it's relevant? Don't you think that guy's anecdotal
I'll tell you
experience
why
has
it's
some
so
relevance?
stupid, and smart people can say very stupid things sometimes. The way that all AIs is software. Yeah, it's a bunch of software that is put into the internet and told to
Well,
feed
we're
off
generally
it.
talking about large language models.
Large language models, all they're doing is feeding off all the text and all the data that anybody's ever created and fed into the publicly available internet. And that's all they're doing. That large language model, if you said the word fear to it, it doesn't understand the word fear. When you say the word fear to a person, their heart rate increases almost automatically. They have that experience of like feeling sweaty and like feeling nervous and like what an awful. There's no way that a software program could ever possibly know that because it's not a biological specimen. Yeah, it's never gone outside and like when you say the word tree and you lean next to it and you feel the bark on your hands and you smell it brings to mind all these images. They just don't have those experiences of things. How could they? Because they're just software programs. The whole concept of this being made out to be something that's sentient is really or that there's any reasoning involved. It's just completely stupid. But smart people say very stupid things. A lot, like people like Elon Musk. This is a problem with some of these AI like soothsayers that I think we place too much trust in. Because they're very good at computer
Musk
science.
obviously says a lot of stupid stuff.
People, Demis Hassabis and Sam Altman and Dari Amadei, these guys, I've no doubt, have got great math brains and like computer science. They're great at computer science. But in lots of other areas, I hate to say it, they're very stupid people. You know, like the way the brain works is not just one thing. They're very good in one area of it, but unfortunately it seems like there's a compensating fact in that they're very prone to say extremely stupid things in other ways.
Are you saying
and
this is street smart?
The suggestion that AI is sentient or that it replicates like human intelligence is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It really is.
I think and that's heartfelt, right? That's really
because I'm just so tired of hearing
how you really
stupid
feel.
argument. People talking about
No,
AI.
I think it's good.
I'm not saying it couldn't be. In
I
the
don't
future.
disagree with it, but I've got a nuance on it, but I want to give you a chance to
I don't
speak
have
if
much
you want.
nuance apart from it's really bloody useful sometimes.
It's totally useful,
and that's the thing, right?
And I think it's a job threat.
But that exactly. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. That it's somewhat of a job threat. Like I was doing something the other day, and it basically what it did, it gathered. I was looking at flight school for my daughter, and I was asking it this, and actually I was trying to work out something to do with my redundancy pay and what I'd get, and actually how I should financially do it, and what flight school, and I put in the flight school name, and then it told me you'd make payments then. So I was trying to work all that out. You cannot do that with your brain, right, and with websites because it would take you flipping hours, right? But it took 3 minutes?
And did you trust the output?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at least as a starting point for you making.
You have to ask somebody, does that make sense? Yeah. I mean, luckily it didn't say write a check to this person, send it over here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It was kind of like common sense stuff.
But while you're just trying to get your head around the magnitude of the.
And actually, could I then afford to put her through pilot school, and when would I make payments? And it was phenomenal, just so quick.
She's going to owe you, man.
Yeah, first class tickets, absolutely. so for that kind of stuff, and even if it could do what that said, if it could build a web page when you've got no idea how to build a web page, I think that's phenomenal. And I understand that those people then would be quite miffed because they would lose jobs. But surely there's other jobs we can do. There's other things that will come out of it.
Do you think it can replace pilots?
Well, I'm a bit controversial with this.
Because they've had autopilot for decades, haven't they?
Well, that's kind of what
Well,
I think.
they're almost computer run, aren't they, planes? But
Well, then you get to like fighter planes, all the fly-by-wire stuff. It has
I
to
think
be
you
done,
have to be able to do it, but the computer obviously can
I
do
think
it.
But ultimately, we still.
I wouldn't want to get in the plane without a pilot.
I wouldn't
without
either.
No.
Apparently, they've started doing Waymo trials in London. You know what Waymo is? Like self-driving cars.
So somebody quoted this at a Future Tech conference yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's quite scary,
and they're already quite commonplace in San Francisco.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because it's something like when you see a car coming towards you and there's no one through the window, your brain goes, hold on.
Fuck is going on?
And then apparently I had a friend who rode into one and he said after about 10, 15 minutes, the novelty kind of fades.
You just get used to it.
Which is...
Well, the cultural side of these things is fascinating. Like going back to Ian's excellent rant. No, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way. It was a great... Maybe I should have called it a monologue or whatever.
That was a bit of a rant.
No, but it's good rant. Rants are good. The only thing I'll say is, I think there's a grey area between, you're saying quite rightly, of course they're not thinking. And, and this Stanford thing was saying they're not reasoning. There was one thing I learnt from reading Richard Wimser's write-up of it. Where is it?
Yeah, he's normally quite an AI skeptic.
Well, he's an AI skeptic from a commercial point of view.
Skeptic is what people should be anyway, I think. You should always question something.
Yeah, well,
I don't like that word being used in a sort of negative sense these days.
No, and it's not negative. I mean, if you're skeptical about someone talking shit, then that's just rational.
You should always question what people are telling you. That's what journalists should do. So,
I can't find it. He's talking about something like the reversal, something or other. Basically,
what Juliet was saying, though, I think it's really useful.
Yeah.
But I think it's useful in the way that the internet has been amazingly useful. And, like if you look at the way the internet's developed since it first came along in the 1990s, to the point where, and it's increment by increment, like people now getting used to just going out and being able to find their way around with maps and all sorts of little things that have been added on and added on and added on. And now AI to me seems like the latest sort of iteration of this, that it's even more useful in a way.
Pulls all together, doesn't it?
It does, but I worry about people being overly reliant on this stuff.
And when you said
not
about
capable of doing what they can, anything for
kids,
themselves.
like first thing is I'll go to that and it'll tell me the answer rather than working out, okay, well I could do that, but actually how would I get to that if I didn't have this?
Yeah,
exactly.
Isn't that why you do calculation at school as well? Because you don't always have a calculator.
But you still got to be able to do mental arithmetic, like work out 2% of 2.7.
And you did a great job.
Something like that.
But we did check it with a calculator.
You did do it better than the last time he was asked to do mental arithmetic on the pod. When he
15%.
When he really fucked it up.
Oh, really?
Now that I can introduce
my brain froze up. So I think
we should have more challenges. I think every week there should be a mental math challenge. Yeah.
I mean, I did a math challenge and a not swearing challenge this week. I feel like I've accomplished a lot. So the interesting thing is, between those two anecdotal things that I just shared, so we've got the guy who's saying, look, this is mad. I can just tell the AI to do something that I would have had to do myself with my very specialist skill set. I can now tell it to do something, go to the pub, come back, and it's as good as if I'd done it myself. That's real. I mean, I know it's just an anecdote, but that's
last
real.
time at the pub. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if any of you. I listen to a radio station which is champion of the pub, and we need more people going to the pub, right? Because there's too many pubs closing. So
maybe
actually,
maybe AI could be good for pubs.
It's great for pubs.
Well, that's an issue. That comes back to the.
All right, maybe I'm going to have a reappraisal.
That comes back to the universal basic income thing that we spoke about recently on a pod, where people talk about UBI and freeing people up to do higher things. My theory is that you give people UBI and they'll spend it down the pub.
But that's great because it goes to the economy. Doesn't that create growth?
Exactly. It creates jobs. It creates jobs.
Well,
it creates jobs in the pub and the liver pathology industry.
It creates jobs.
It does in the pub.
Yeah, unless the
and in
jobs are being
hospitals.
taken.
It'll create lots more medical
Physical
jobs.
AI. What does physical AI?
You need more police as well. Definitely more police jobs.
Scott, Juliet has not been introduced to physical AI yet.
Is it a robot?
More or less, yeah. This was a buzzword.
This is a big theme of this year.
Have you heard of a trade show called CES Consumer? It's in Vegas and it's right at the start of the year.
Okay.
So our first pod of the year, we were reflecting on.
You didn't go?
No, we didn't go there.
Well, if you ever need a roving reporter, right, I'm definitely in Vegas.
No, you're
putting out there now.
It's Middlesbrough.
Or Vegas.
Middlesbrough / Vegas reporter. And a buzzword that I just noticed in all the keynotes was this thing called physical AI, which is basically a way of saying AI as it applies to physical environments, i.e. through robots. And Ian and I had a dispute. Ian was quite dismissive, and then it turned out that it's cropped up a bit more than he thought it would. I'm not saying that validates it, by the way.
No, I'm still dismissive. But what I didn't expect was that so many people in the telecom sector would refer to it quite quickly, whereas they all pretty much have. In fact, probably Alison Kirkby's even said it on an earnings call now.
You underestimate the power of the buzzword. Were you going to say something, mate?
No, you were talking about AI and pubs as a joke, but I did see a big machine, a Guinness machine in Covent Garden on the weekend. Imagine a vending machine, but horizontal. I'm not sure I like that. It was a tap to pay, and then
I'll tell you one thing I didn't like. Last time I was in France, there were self-contained baguette vending machines. I wasn't happy about that. I like going to a good old boulangerie.
I mean, that's not what France is about, I'm afraid.
No, but
that's the opposite of
fresh items.
Exactly.
For fresh items, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, but for beer,
fridge.
They've got pizza and baguette vending machines.
Yeah, that sounds horrible because you want it warm and...
It depends,
But it's handy on a Sunday, though.
It depends, right? Because if you've been in the office all day and you've been with people and you just want to get some food and you don't want to speak, because you all get this feeling, right, where you've peopled out. You just want to go and get a drink and you don't actually want to talk to people, just press a button.
But maybe
exactly.
with AI, we'll all become
That's
a bit
true.
more antisocial.
Imagine
Well,
Well,
I think I'm already there. I think it's
like
an age thing.
a pub where the whole bar is like just a one big machine and people just go and serve themselves. And then the music is picked by, I don't know, some kind of
Can you imagine falling in love with your
randomized...
chatbot, though,
Yeah.
on your phone?
See, that's also something. I know somebody who has a very, not like that, but kind of uses it as a bit of, not company, but a bit of like, I'm not sure about
Yeah.
this, should I do
I've
this?
heard a lot about
actually, there's some real benefits of just checking stuff out with somebody without having to burden somebody else.
Yeah,
Actually, there is a bit of that.
I think there's a very negative side to that. Though,
Yeah,
isn't there?
I'm sure there is,
in
but
terms of human interrelation.
I think sometimes when people don't want to share how they feel with somebody, at least they've got. I
maybe
know,
they
I'm not
should
sure
be
how.
like- maybe they should be
Well,
sharing
I know.
more. Maybe then we'd all be
And of
getting on
course-
better as a planet.
and of course, that begs the question of data privacy and what they're sharing with the AI. They're probably sharing with Sam Altman as well.
Well, probably.
whatever.
I have to say though, ChatGPT is quite good at going, good idea, and I go, thank you.
But see, that's another
agreeable.
thing I've read about.
To be
It never
fair-
says shit idea.
To be fair, I'm
So
married,
there's a-
right? I need a bit of positive affirmation every now and then.
You just show it to your other half and go, try that every
See,
now and then.
somebody likes
So-
me.
Yeah.
If you ask ChatGPT, is it a good idea if I do this? It's pretty much always going to say,
I think
Yeah.
I think it tends to be excessively positive. I've read stuff along those lines, and sometimes when it gets really dangerous, it's
So if you
like you
went-
get into nasty territory, like people who've got
Suicide.
suicidal ideation. Yeah, exactly.
Does it do that? Oh, good.
well, I don't
Well, no,
know.
it doesn't.
I'm
It doesn't
interested,
necessarily out of the blue. Go,
No.
why don't you top yourself? But what it doesn't necessarily do is say
Steer
the right
you away
things
from
to
it.
someone who's depressed.
Right, okay.
Anyway, I don't know the details of it, but
I
it's
used it a little
excessively
bit last
positive.
year when I lost my dad. I don't know if you remember, I came in, I just recently lost my dad.
Right, yes.
And I used it a bit of like, I'm feeling like this. Is this normal? I'm struggling with this. Is it? And it was, and I say maybe I also talk to people about it as well, but just sometimes when you don't want to burn somebody else.
Fair enough.
But I agree, right? That's bloody dangerous if there is like.
Bit of a slippery slope.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice to have people to talk to, and
Yeah.
I don't think we lose sight of it. I mean, we've all got kids of similar ages.
Yeah.
Pierre's a little bit younger. I won't speak for Jono because he hasn't got a microphone, so he can't tell me I'm wrong. And I look for signs of generational change
Yeah.
in terms of social stuff. And you hear all these stuff. I mean, I kind of hate these generalizations about Gen Z and millennials and all that sort of thing. It feels too generalised for me. But I look for it, and my son still goes out, hangs out with his mates. He's got a girlfriend. He still seems to do normal stuff. So it's not like everyone's just suddenly turned into a brain in a jar just because of technology. And I don't know if you see the same in your girls sort of doing. I think my kids are a little bit less wild. I used to go out a lot more and just hit the town and all that sort of thing. There seems to be less of that. I don't know if you.
Ella doesn't drink. Ella doesn't
Doesn't
drink.
drink at all.
No, Chloe's not quite 18, so she doesn't drink.
Technically doesn't drink.
Yeah.
But I think a generalisation I hear about our kids' generation is that there's a bit less of that going on. Part of it's just like the price of alcohol.
There's definitely a shift. There's definitely a shift.
People
There's,
don't drink as much.
I was with Ella and her flatmates last night, and she's not the only one who doesn't drink.
Yeah.
And that is all.
Now they're all out running. And
What if they're all
bench
fooling us?
pressing and
Like,
Secret.
right.
whatever it is at the gym.
they're just stringing us along.
Yeah.
Do you
Anyway,
see like all these alcohol companies like sweating? Maybe they're not.
Well, no, they've brought in non-alcoholic now, haven't they? They've also
yeah,
brought in
yeah.
CBD drinks.
know.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many
Oh,
alternatives.
CBD drinks, yeah.
I've got some of them. I just don't understand them at
No,
all.
I don't get it. I don't get that thing.
CBD.
They just don't taste very nice.
Well,
No.
and I read about CBD.
really
For
expensive.
people who don't know what CBD is, it's the non-psychoactive constituent of dope. The psychoactive bit being THC. And it's supposed to help with things.
You know these
with-
acronyms, don't
Calm
you?
and
He doesn't know his
An unhealthy
he
interest
doesn't
in
know his
sort of-
PSTN, but he knows his THC and his.
that is completely accurate.
I don't know what they stand for in my defence.
Where do your priorities lie, really?
Yeah.
Scott?
No, I
It's
mean
coming out now.
I looked in CBD because of like sleep. We've chatted about sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Not getting any.
And it's not. Yeah, and apparently it helps with other like old gittish things, sort of aches and pains, and all that sort of thing.
CBD stands for cannabidiol, just one word.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be three.
cannabidiol. Yeah,
But at THC, I know it's tetra something.
Yeah.
Hold on. Tetra. Tetrahydrocannabinol. Cannabinol. Oh, whatever.
Anyway,
It's a drugs.com podcast.
it's
That's the next one. That's a spin-off.
organic chemical that's in ganj, but it's not psychoactive, which is THC. But yeah, I looked into it, and I even got some. You can get it like it's not illicitly.
Yeah, yeah.
And it didn't particularly help me with sleep. It didn't help me with this matter and the other, and obviously didn't get me stoned because it's not that part of it. So yeah, I don't see the
I
point
tried
of
it.
it.
It didn't taste very nice.
Waste of time.
Yeah, it was.
I might just have a fucking spliff.
I'm the
Sounds like a placebo.
I'm the kind of person who would try. No, that's the wrong thing I say. I was going to say try anything once. That's not true. I wouldn't try anything once. But if it's like not like illegal or bad for you, then I might,
Yeah, curiosity. That's fine.
Yeah, there we go. That sounds better.
So I think I'll wrap up there.
Bombshell.
But I think that's why I wanted to bring up that AI thing. Partly because I knew when I brought up the more it does everything part, it would trigger Ian, which it did magnificently.
That's nice.
And partly because I had already queued up this counterpoint, which is this study that's showing it doesn't really reason. It is just pattern recognition. One of the things I found out with the thing that Richard Windsor spoke about, he called it reversal curse, which is basically if you can get AI to say that A therefore B, you can't necessarily get it to say the reverse, that B therefore A. And so that shows that it's not reasoning. That's just one simple way to show it's not reasoning. Because under normal sort of logic, if you know that A then B, then the reverse is true. Apparently, LLMs often fail even that simple test. So you're right, Ian. We're miles away from it being sentient. We're miles away from it reasoning. But what I find interesting is these little anecdotal examples of some people saying this thing can do just a ridiculous amount of work.
Yeah, because I think it's probably got to the point where the pattern recognition is so good that you can replicate a lot of the stuff that you need to do, which is why it's dangerously useful.
Exactly, I agree.
And it was great. Rather than listen to all your previous podcasts, I could just ask it some questions this morning.
Yeah. Save you the bother of sitting through all our bullshit.
I did ask it when the last time you talked about fixed broadband, fixed connectivity, wasn't it? It referred back to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because we had Kieran on from the FT
Okay.
quite recently, and that was a big on sort of altnet sort of episode.
Oh,
wasn't
maybe I'll
it?
go and listen to that one.
Well, what you should do, whatever you get up to next summer, if you find yourself missing the old beat, you can always dial into the podcast. And,
Couldn't I?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. That's put me in my place.
Of course I will. Do you know what? This is going to be how I keep in touch with what's going on.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I think we'll wrap it up there. It was great to see you again, Julia.
And you, thank you.
And I hope we keep in touch anyway. If only
You're always welcome to come to Middlesbrough. Always
Indeed.
welcome.
Yeah, I've never been. I have to admit. Sorry.
It's shocking.
My bad.
And we're at top of the league. Just have to drop it in there.
Yes.
Right.
I think we're bottom of the league.
Who do you support?
Blackburn.
Don't even know what league they're in.
Well, they're in the Championship.
Are they really?
They're right at the bottom of it.
I don't think they're right at the bottom because the team right at the bottom is minus.
They're only about 2 from the bottom then.
I'm a Spurs fan, and we just got rid of our shit manager.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't really care about the Premier League till next year.
Yes, we'll see how it goes.
We'll
All
whip
right.
your ass next year.
So we'll see if you two have got any time to join us for a cheeky pint. But it's great to see you, and do keep in touch. And if I don't speak to you before, best of luck with your next
Thank you.
endeavour.
Let's just see where I pop up.
Indeed. Okay. Thanks for listening. We're recording another one tomorrow. I don't know when we're planning on publishing them, but we'll see how it goes. But join us for that one.